Hello, and welcome back to another new stream. To another stream of Higurashi. To finish up. Whoops, I never updated the title. Finish up Tatarigoroshi, right? Tatarigoroshi. And then take a slight break with Higurashi to finish the new. What's it called? Elden chapter. And this chapter. Well, this Higurashi chapter has been a doozy. With all the stuff going on with Satoko, implied to be going on, which is very yikes. And then it seems main character is very determined to commit a murder. So yeah, let's go. Sunday. The fireworks I heard before noon were probably to announce the opening of the festival. The weather certainly wasn't festival weather, it was cloudy. The television forecast was calling for possible downpours starting this evening and lasting until midnight. As long as it wasn't raining at the moment, the festival would go on. The festival had to open, or it wouldn't begin. The Farada Shrine grounds were probably decorated beautifully with a big performance that only happened once a year. Many paper lanterns were hung, all in auspicious colors of red and white. The sound of electric motors at the stalls, the voices of kids running around, the happy families watching them smiling. Today was the festival of Watanagashi. Was everyone already partaking in the festivities? What about Satoko? Had she forgotten her days of suffering just a few moments, or smiling that brilliant smile she hadn't in so long? This would probably be the longest day of my life. It would be a day I would remember vividly for as long as I lived. I told my parents I'd go to the festival this evening and lounge about during the early afternoon. We may have lived under the same roof, but I couldn't help being surprised by the deviation from how I usually spend my time. Glancing at my parents out of the corner of my eye, I went to the front door. Tied my shoes just a little tighter than normal, as if to express the firmness of my resolve in those knots. When I decided to murder Satoko's uncle, I was in such a state of excitement I almost went crazy. And when I was planning out the act of murder, which went directly against all the morals fostered in me thus far, I was in such a state of calm, I almost thought I had lost my emotions. Then yesterday, when I learned Satoshi had made exactly the same phone call as me, I didn't know how to describe the muddled feelings I had then. And now entering today. Right now, I lacked all the emotions I'd possessed until now. To make a simple analogy, it was the kind of feeling you might get right after you wake up when you're still half asleep and you didn't feel anything very clearly. I had no anger towards the man or the violence he'd committed against Satoko. Nor did I feel sadness towards or sympathize with her. I felt no discontent towards my friends who just waited and watched, no reaching out to her with any help, and no nervousness or fear towards the day that had finally come. Yes, right now, you could say I was in the best possible condition for carrying out a murder. When it came down to it, I would probably need to let my violent emotions take control. But right now, until the moment, I would be an insect. I would slowly, surely, and silently move towards my one objective. And then, when I had my prey, I'd attack like a bullet. There was no emotion in that. Just the creeping mindset insects possessed. The sort of sneaking feeling was just the best. I would kill Satoko's uncle like he was a worm. I had to laugh a little at thinking that way, thinking like an insect. Fuck. I tied on my laces one more time and walked out the door. I brought the shovel out of the front storeroom. I would need it to dig the man's grave. The shovel was a convenient one was a convenient one made for camping. If I twisted like so and split it into three, I would easily hide it in my bag. Twisted the shovel and dismantled it. Even though I'd done it countless times before, I had trouble for some reason. I was suddenly clumsy now. I knew why. It wasn't because I was nervous. My weak-willed self deep within me was hesitant. I knew that the act of dismantling the shovel was the first step I'd take to becoming a murderer. The last twist was conspicuously difficult, but it finally submitted before the strength of my determination. The area around Satoko's house was outside my circle of activity. But even just riding my bike in the middle of the day like this might seem suspicious to an observant person. I definitely want to avoid meeting and talking to someone I knew. With that in mind, I chose the route to my destination carefully. I didn't mind going the long way around. How long this day would be, I would never be I could never be too careful after all. Still, I was fortunate enough not to run across anybody on my way to the planned site of the crime. I wasn't superstitious at this point, but it was a good omen. The place I would dig the hole was in the grove a little further into the woods. Was worried I might not make it to the same place as before, since there were no signs to guide me, but I arrived there smoothly and as expected. I took another look around. Not even a hint of human presence. The air was a little bit damp, but it was comfortable in the cool shade of the trees. I was comfortable. Took this disassembled shovel out of my bag and began skillfully putting it together. Then I stuck the tip of the shovel into a soft-looking patch of ground and pushed it with my foot. The shovel would split into the earth if I put some strength into that foot. The act of doing so seemed awfully like the point of no return. It made me hesitate. I was just digging a hole with a shovel. It made me gulp hard. Calm down, Keiichi Mibara. Let's do a countdown. Get it done on the count of 3, okay? Alright. 1, 2. I couldn't do it on the countdown, despite it just being sticking the shovel into the ground, and I had to count down 5 or 6 times. Damn it, I'm just digging a hole. This is pathetic. As I thought that, I put my strength into my heel, was stepping on something unpleasant, and split. Came the sharp noise. Oh. Nah. Oh. It was only soft at the beginning. Roots and stones quickly got in my way, informing me just how hard it was to dig a hole that was big enough for a person. No decent person would ever come here anyway. Maybe it would be enough to cover him with some dirt. Every time a naive thought like that crept into my mind, I bit down on it with my teeth and dug even harder. I've dug enough now. Could hide him like this. Every time I thought that, I would go down into the hole, grow disappointed at how shallow it was, and return to digging. The thin layer of sweat on my brow eventually formed into drops and fell to the ground. Back was in an even worse shape. My damp shirt adhered to my skin. It felt so disgusting. The things I couldn't stand the most were the mosquitoes. Maybe they were attracted to the scent of my sweat. The white and black striped mosquitoes would cling to me whenever I let my guard down. It was hot. It was disgusting. I was sticky. I was itchy. All those uncomfortable feelings surged through me in waves. Damn it all. So what are you telling me, to pack up and go home? Is that it? and yelled at anyone. It was me talking to myself, me telling myself something. Why was I feeling this way and digging a hole all the way out here? What benefit would digging this hole give me? What harm would there be in not digging this hole at all? Wait, in the first place, who ordered me to dig? When I thought it over, maybe ever since grade school or even before that, my whole life had been me doing what other people told me to. I didn't mean it was somehow constrained, living a life just based on the commands of others. And I didn't mean it was too lazy to try and find my own road in life. Huh. Metaphorically speaking, yes, it was like a road. I'd never been particularly physically fit. I didn't hit puberty very early, and if all my classmates and I got in line, I'd usually be on the shorter end. My scores in jump rope competitions and marathons were the very picture of average, and it wasn't like the captains of the dodgeball team would have passionate rock paper scissors contests to see which would get me. During those kindergarten and grade school years, it felt like someone was only worth how fast they grew and how fit they were. Looking back on it now was really uncomfortable for me. The thing that turned all those around was just a few words from my mother. Keiichi, would you like to go to our cram school? You'll better grasp what you're learning in school, and it will be more fun. The very first test I took at cram school was kind of like a game. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't like the test with the same exact problem dozens of times in a row. Every question had a picture to it, almost like one of those puzzle books that came with the manga magazines. If my studies at school had been like this, it would have been way more fun. Several days later, I went to the cram school again with my mother in the enrollment paper. Mom and the person at the cram school had a really long, heated discussion, so I accidentally dozed off and missed most of what they said, but I clearly remembered one point. Mom had made a loud groan, surprised at something. By 60 you mean his average score was 61 points? No, not at all, Miss Mebara. The deviation from the mean of all our cram school across the country is 61. He's showing extraordinary numbers, even on a simple intelligence test. First, I would like to say that Keiichi-kun is extremely bright. Keiichi? But he doesn't have a very good grade at school. He was average marks and his report cards are BCs and Ds. Is this some kind of mistake? We cross-checked with several tests as well. We learned some very interesting things as a result. Higurashi is extremely weak when faced with questions that don't have any meaning. He just has no interest in simple, dull questions that don't have to do with everyday life. So even if he doesn't know what 2 plus 3 is, we told him he had 2 apples and got 3 more to understand that sort of question? That's right. For example, instead of telling him to draw a flattened, foldable cube, what we asked him what a die would look like when cut up open. If we did that, he can answer beautifully. Then the person from the cram school showed her a page from one of the exams I took. It was a paper with questions about construction. Construction questions were unusual, so they were really cool, weren't they? In this question, it asked to draw an unfolded regular icosahedron, a shape with 20 faces. When we phrased it and asked him how he would cut out a piece of cardboard to create a 20-sided die, Keiichi-kun drew the answer as though it were easy. This was not something an average child can do. Keiichi, have you ever made a die with 20 sides from a magazine extra or something? Or anything? Dice only went from 1 to 6. I never even considered before for this test that there were dice with more than 6 sides. But it's fun to imagine what kind of shape a die that went up to 20 would have. If I had a die like that, I could win at Snakes and Ladders against anyone. So I immediately wanted to make it. Finally, I entered cram school. There were only 4 students in the class they put me in. It was called Select. It was the highest class, so my classmates were in lower classes. When I remembered how much better they had done at things like dodgeball and the 50-meter sprint, felt happiness well up within me for the first time. Even if I wasn't as good as them physically, I triumphed over them in other ways. It was fun at first. The more I did it, the more I was praised, and my teachers at school suddenly started pampering me. It felt good. My parents were satisfied too, and I enjoyed seeing them satisfied. The more I listened to my parents' commands, the more fun things got. Heh, that did happen, didn't it? I grinned dryly in self-depreciation. Because, well, my studious lifestyle didn't end up lasting very long. It was only at the beginning I enjoyed learning more and more. Gradually got along less with my friends, my classes were behind what I was learning in cram school, and eventually stopped respecting the teachers, fearing that they could put me to sleep with their lectures. And well, was a disagreeable sort who bragged a lot about how much I knew. And the ways of the world wouldn't let me remain in a state of ecstasy forever. I would do as I was told, and then I'd go above and beyond the expectations, and they'd praise me. I was happy for that, and the cycle repeated itself like the wheels on a bike. But moving forward like that was how life worked, like a bicycle. When I moved to Himizawa, I just realized how inadequate I was. Some things happened, and we started saying how moving and getting a change in atmosphere would be nice. And then my father had a place that he liked, that he'd gone to a few times to draw the nature. Started saying that he wanted to bring his atelier there. Me, in blank amazement, decided to move to Hinamizawa. And after that, I met them, didn't I? This day, after transferring here, went to the classroom with the teacher. Thought it would seem pitiful for her to bring me in there, so I placed my hand on the door before she could, slammed it open, and set foot into the room. Clatter. The frame powerful entry way I opened the door was none other than my own determination to try getting my life over again. And then, within seconds, the determination took a hard counter to the face. Blackboard eraser fell on me. Plus, there was a huge rock inside it, a supremely painful trap someone had set up. Come on, Stoker was already beating me right from the first day I transferred? That frightened me. I was bewildered. Class was surprised too. I wasn't just surprised that the students in class were all different grades and with different genders. It was because the class felt completely different from the schools I knew. As I spent more time with them, my surprise continued to grow. This fresh sense of surprise had never left my life even to this day. Every day was a fresh new surprise. I've never had a single boring day since coming here. The days were lively, spent with the other club members. Played Old Maid with cards with scratches on the back to cheat. We all let our passions go wild during our games. We went all out as regular participants in a tournament at the toy store in the town, and many, many more things. Recently, during those times, was the bento competition. It was then. That's when I saw an unexpected sight of Satoko. Thinking back on it, I only ate dinner with her 2 nights. It was such a sweet, gentle time spent. It warmed my heart remembering it even now. I realized that Satoko was pretending to be stubborn and firm, how brave she was, out of her heart always waiting for her Nini to come home. And I vowed to become her Nini. Satoko may have been nagging and overly critical, but she knew how to take care of someone. But though it might have seemed like she was taking the lead, it was actually her way of depending upon another person. Even in Satoshi and Satoko's lives, as siblings were confined by their uncle and his wife, there were still warm, sunny days. When did those sunny days all go wrong? What mistake was made? Lamenting tragedies of the past who do no good, and I told myself that so many times, but I did anyway. Heiji, isn't that why you chose your own path, to take back that life? Nobody ordered you to do this. You decided on your own. You didn't desire anyone's praise for this. You thought it all through yourself. You'll carve it out yourself, and you'll do it now. This wasn't a path I could see very far down, not like the road parents or society could offer. It was a narrow path, dark and utterly distressing, one for which the next step would always be shrouded in darkness. But that disheartening path would keep on going forever. It was an unlimited path. There was nowhere I couldn't travel. Kind of path only available to those able to imagine where they wanted to go. Don't be ashamed at breaking from the brightly lit paved road. In fact, feel proud that you found your very own path to walk. I hadn't discarded the paved road either. Once I achieved my goal, I would go back to the bright road, and then I'd spend those average sunny days at my leisure. Crush. When I next realized it, the hole had grown so deep I couldn't believe it. Did I dig all this myself? I think digging this much is enough, right? Put my shovel to the bottom of the hole. Would drag the body here, then throw it into the hole and cover it up with dirt. Even if I, even if it took me time to conflake it by putting plants on top, I would all, it would all go much more easily than digging this hole had. Glanced at my watch. It was almost evening. I hadn't realized that. It may not have felt that I may not have felt the time passing. Putting a hole this deep must have taken quite a lot of time. I took a seat on a slanted rock nearby wiped wiped the sweat from my brow. Now, once it got a little darker, I'd go get the metal bat I hid in the schoolyard. Then I'd make the call to lure him out. And then I'd do it. The number of things I needed to do to reach the moment were dwindling. Felt that moment closing in on me as me much more keenly than I did the passage of time. I didn't have any hesitation, but I still felt a contradiction. At every step of the process, I had a few chances to hesitate, to turn back, to let myself lose my nerve. Having to endure those million temptations and wait for time was right was an indescribably slow and painful torture. I had found myself acting all week because of that, but I stopped midway through. That was okay. It was fine. I could attest the abnormal act of homicide as much as I wanted, and it didn't matter. Wasn't going to be I wasn't going to be a cutthroat killer after today. I would pass through the strange day and go back to the world I was in before. If I fell to the level of psychopath who thought nothing of killing, I wouldn't be able to go back to my old life. So this was fine with me. I didn't have to feel ashamed at hesitating to kill because I was human. It was so funny to me that I'd be the bearer of Hoyoshi Osama's curse at the same time as I was aware I was human. I exhaled slightly and stood. I concealed my presence and sharpened my senses in all directions to search for anyone around me. Okay, let's go. One step at a time. Would walk my own path. Path no one had forced me to walk. Let's do this. Keiichi Mibara. The cicadas made an annoying fuss. The chorus covered up the suspicious noise of me breaking twigs underfoot, and their chorus filled the path far ahead of me, letting me know I would be alone for some time. The cicadas blessed the path I walked, encouraging me with every last ounce of strength they had. Always the damn cicadas. The sky was far above. In not even an hour, the veil of night would draw near, the sky would be tainted with dusk. By that time, the Higurashi would let me hear the chorus in place of the cicadas. When that happened, would anything be over? Would everything be over with? Would everything have ended? I said something along the lines when I left Satoko's fate up to a public agency. But this time was different. I would do it. I would carry it out. I would end it. It would all be over very soon. Everything would end. Yes, when the Higurashi cried. Title drop! Higurashi when they cry. There was nobody at school. I couldn't hear the playful voices of children. This was the first time I'd seen the school with such a lack of human presence. Still, I quieted my breath and looked around, not wanting to be unprepared. It had gotten dark outside. It was almost like my eyes could see more clearly now. I made absolutely sure of my safety, then walked to a heavy construction machine I'd hidden the metal bat behind. With a tinge of worry, a premonition that someone had found the bat and hidden it somewhere else as a prank. If that had happened, would I take that as an opportunity to desist? If it really wasn't there, then the sensation of chilled metal was still where I left it. It hadn't run away. Satoshi hadn't run away. It waited here patiently for me. Sorry for the wait, Satoshi. It's been a long time coming. You prepared for this? Through the metallic touch, Satoshi grins at me in my mind. That's what I should be asking, you know? I did this last year already. You should be more worried about yourself. Right on, Satoshi. Let's show him a bad time. Do-do-do-do. Satoshi's bat got lighter and lighter, and fit into my hands like it was being absorbed. It didn't feel wrong to swing this. I could move it around so naturally it was like an extension of my own right arm. Of course, it felt like that. Satoshi and I were holding on one bat together. Next, I would make the call to lure the man out. It wasn't a bad time for it. My friends were doubtlessly parading happily through the stalls. Han considered where to make the call from. My house and Stoko's were pretty far apart. If I called from my house, I wouldn't make it. Couldn't I use the school phone? But as I thought, the room was locked up and I couldn't get in. Shit. I'm so naive. You should have at least figured this part out. I couldn't call him. Just for that, was today all over? I'm sorry, Satoshi. Just as I cursed my own naivete, a miracle occurred. A bicycle came into the schoolyard. It was a familiar middle-aged man. The one from the Forest Service field office. Why wasn't today Sunday? Was he here to pick something he forgot? Anyway, the forest officer went around the back and felt around his pocket, then unlocked the door and entered. The best possible coincidence, and it had to be Satoshi who saved me. The metal bat, though through just my contact with it, told me this was a chance. I couldn't allow it to slip by. The sections for the forest office and school were neatly separated. I felt the man head into the forest office storehouse, which was so far in the back students weren't allowed into it. The door doesn't match its fittings well. It didn't close all the way. The gap in the door opened slowly as if to lure me in. Took a deep breath and went in. Tiptoed along silently and stealthily and made it to the teacher's lounge. This was the only place with a phone. As I held my breath in the teacher's lounge, I heard the Forest Service officer walking back over. Then the back door clattered shut and was locked. I glanced out the window and at the schoolyard and watched as the man got onto the bike like, like nothing had happened, and rode out the school gate. The school once again emptied, becoming deathly silent. I waited for a bit to make sure the silence was the real deal, then reached for the telephone on the principal's desk. Would be a bit funny. Well, not funny, but if the Forest Service is in charge of making sure this, well, nature and stuff is safe, and they found the hole and are going to fill it up now. I waited for a bit to make sure the silence was the real deal, then reached for the telephone on the principal's desk. I fished Satoko's house's phone number out of my pocket. Yes, the number in the class directory for Satoko had been the one from their house now, where she lived with her uncle. Touched the dial with my fingers and then thought for a moment about what to say exactly when he picked up. I assumed the police would have call records, so wouldn't this cause someone from school to be implicated? Possibly. Probably coach. Despite how many times I'd gone over it in my head last night, I guess it depends if you know. He has an alibi. Also, I just realized there's like a small curry sauce pot on top of the lamp. Curry teacher, why? Now that I had my finger on the dial like this, it started to seep out of my mind like a cracked bucket leaking water. Simple would be best. More importantly, to say it straight and not sound suspicious. I counted off three heartbeats and spun the dial. The call sounded. Would Satoko's uncle pick up? Now of all times, the hope that he wouldn't pick up, the feeling of doom in the knowledge that I couldn't save Satoko if he didn't, whirled around in a vortex. Hello. It was the voice of a grumpy man, like he had just woken up. He picked up. Hello. Say your name so I know you're Hojo, you asshole. It would be terrible if I got it wrong. Made up my mind, had all the initiative on my side. Here we go. This is Shibone Okonomiya Police Station. I was speaking to Hojo residents. It's changing my voice, but did he really think I sound like an adult? Would he believe it was the police? Ah, yes. This is Hojo. We currently have your daughter, Satoko Hojo, here with us. What? Satoko? What did the rat do? He fell for it. I could tell by how tense he was that he didn't doubt my words. I'll explain the particulars once you have arrived here. Would you mind coming to the station on the way? Right now? I already took a bath on myself, so I don't really want to go out like this, so... What? You don't want to come because you already took a bath? Yes, right away. Right away? Jeez, man, what the heck did Satoko do? When wants you here? I'll be waiting. Thank you for assistance. One sec. I don't know where the police station is. Where am I going? He doesn't know either. You moron. What the hell? Doing a police station? I don't know where it is either. Aren't you from around here? Why don't you know that? Greasy sweat came over my body. Eventually, just as I was about to choke, he spoke. Oh, next to the fire station, right? That's pretty far. Thank goodness, he remembered on his own for me. Didn't care where the police station was. So long as he left his house to get there. Then we'll be waiting here. Oh, wait. Who am I asking for once I get there? What is your name? Top of that, he wanted to know my name. Just leave your goddamn house already. Maebashi. Excuse me. That was close. Almost thoughtlessly told him my real name. I managed to change the last syllable of it, but put the receiver down like I was running away. My fingers were trembling and I was soaked with a tepid sweat. I wasn't just nervous about the phone call. With that call, everything had finally been put into motion. Left the school, was locked. It was locked before, was easy enough to open from the inside. but I couldn't lock it again after I left. In terms of being thorough, I wanted to lock it, but I couldn't waste time going back to the teacher's lounge and looking for the key. Can't you go out the window? I need to rush back as fast as I could to ambush him. Guess it depends what kind of window it is. It's one of those that you can just kind of slide down to close it. It's probably fine. Also, I was gonna say, surprised it's not a locked door that just locks it off when you close it. But it's a school. That would probably be a bad idea. I can already see all the... How do I say this? Pieces of evidence lining up for against my Bara. Like, next chapters, Oishi's gonna come to him and be like, we noticed this, we noticed this, we noticed this. Makes you sound hella suspicious. I zoom back to the scene on my bike. If Satoko's uncle got out of town before I got there, everything would be over. Yeah, what if he just used his car? He'd learned there was no one at the station named Maebashi, and things would get pretty messed up. As I turned at full speed, I passed the family wearing yukatas. They must have been on their way to the festival. Many people in Himizawa knew my face, though I didn't know theirs. Even just passing by them like this made me uneasy. But I didn't generally come around here. So those living in the area might not have known much about me. That didn't matter right now. I need to go back as fast as possible, control my breathing, and to ambush the man. Hit my bike in a thicket and picked up Satoshi's bat, which I just left hidden in the shade. Then held my breath, waiting to see someone. I wondered if he still hadn't gotten there. Or maybe he went right out after the phone call and passed by here already? Couldn't figure out which it was, and I was set up by an indescribable impatience. Calm down, Keiichi Maebara. Even if he came here already, he'd pass by here on his way back, right? The end result would be the same. It wouldn't change the fact he'd die. He'd probably come on his motorcycle. How would I stop him then? Figured it would be best not to think too hard, just hit him as he passed or beat him out of his seat. The path was made of pebbles. If I hit him as hard as I could, made him lose his balance, he wouldn't be able to help falling. And then, the chorus of Higurashi stopped. The sound of a bike approached from far away. Ooh, here we go. I couldn't tell what sort of motorcycle it was from its sound, but I'd seen it parked before, so I'd know. It was getting rapidly closer. It was almost here. He just went a little further, crossed into the thicket, and appeared in front of me. It'd take a moment to make sure it was him. Then when I had put my plan into action. The motorcycle appeared. Few easily identifiable characteristics told me that Satoko's uncle's bike, without a doubt. Was it really him? Was it really Satoko's uncle? I was making a mistake, was I? I look at his characteristics again. Its color, shape, most of all this man's clothes and face. Those last feelings of hesitation. I did away with them. Satoko, now. Your Nini will end it, okay? Closer, closer. The bike came closer. Let's go. Satoshi? Bro is going very crazy. Yeah. Whoosh. I jumped out of the thicket. Used my shoulder to basically tackle the uncle on the bike with all my might. He gave a dumb shout as his bike completely lost its balance. Finally, it fell. The bike clattered clouds of sand, and after spinning, it stopped. Her uncle tossed to the ground, didn't understand what had just happened, groaned for a few seconds, crouched on the ground. Her breathing started to become ragged. No, I couldn't have this emotion. Some weird secretions crossed through my brain and nearly made me hallucinate. The uncle was groaning. Now was the one in a time opportunity. What was I doing? All the sounds of the world cut off. My mental chaos from a moment ago withdrew like a lie, and I could feel the temperature in my head rapidly cooling down. I don't like the bells. Oh shit. Actually, I didn't switch music types this time. The tension in my muscles all went away like strings that had been cut, and I let my hands tingle at my sides. It wasn't quite like exhaustion. Have you calmed down now? Hey Chimabara, you need to remember again why things got to this point today. Scrape, scrape. Step over the pebbled path, taking one step, another step, then another towards Satoko's uncle. The more I walked, the more my breathing calmed. The more I walked, the more I felt my body cooling, foaming, chilling with frost. Yes, at this moment, this guy had lost permission to live. I had just rescinded it, but he mustn't stay in this world any longer. He lived any longer. If Satoko's misfortune continued, it would be my responsibility for having allowed him to live. I could feel the cooling substance going through my whole body, even down to my capillaries. Her uncle was at my feet now, still on the ground like an idiot. I smiled coldly at how ridiculous he looked. Ah, that hurt. That's all it took for it to hurt. That was that was hurt. Heart hurt much more, and now you're gonna feel that. And with your life, I'll make up for her pain. I erased all unnecessary information from my mind. I prioritized the murder of this man. Execute, execute, execute. Wham! Utterly calmly, I delivered my first strike to the back of his head. I wanted to get at the most effective spot. At least during the first moment, I'd have to attack him when he was in his most defenseless. And if he was hit in the head, it'd cover his head. It was a defensive reaction all humans made, like machines. He used both hands to cover his head, so he couldn't pick himself up off the heap. He was on the ground. Like pounding a caterpillar into dirt, I hit him over and over. If he caught his head, I'd hit him to the side. If he caught his body, I'd go for his head. If he rolled over, I'd strike his feet. His knees, his elbows. Didn't care where anymore. By just delivering one blow after another, I induced panic in him. I retained my overwhelming advantage, but I hadn't done nearly enough to deliver a fatal wound. Her uncle skillfully pulled himself off the ground and started to run like a fleeing rabbit. It was just a judgment he'd made after seeing my face and decided whether to fight me. Right now, he was fleeing by instinct, just trying to escape from the threat that had presented itself. Counterattack from a more physically capable uncle was what I was most concerned about. He may have run, but wasn't all that unlucky. And the odds were in my favor. The uncle didn't run away towards people, but off the path into the woods. How pleasant that he would run in the direction where nobody else was. He was fleeing into into strange geography, like a rat that instinctively runs into tight spots over and over. Yes, he was no longer human. He was a rat. The blood vessels in my legs expanded and my total oxygen supply increased. I lowered myself to gain the most explosive velocity I could. Honestly, I'm surprised you even let him get back up. Or that first hit to the head didn't actually straight up knock him out. Guess depends how hard you hit. Or I guess how hard a aluminum bat is? I'm not quite sure how hard that is. Without breathing, I became a wind-like shadow and dashed. Crossed thickets, crushed dead tree branches underfoot, and dove through woods like a bullet. He ran so cowardly, arms flailing as he went. But catching up to him, I didn't need so much as a blink of an eye to strike him again. My senses, mind, and body were all sharpened purely to kill this man. This was the first time I'd felt like this. Well, it was the first experience I'd ever had killing someone. It felt natural continuing to do this for the first time. And that meant I had this much talent for killing. Or perhaps the act of killing was so simple that anyone could do it. I didn't struggle or grow tired after all chasing the clumsily feeling uncle. No matter how much he ran, it was like trying to get away from his own shadow. He couldn't get away from me. I could easily aim at his back, his shoulder, and his head even from this unnatural stance. Each time I struck him, he wailed in pain and begged painfully for forgiveness. But it didn't disturb my mind. I was neither excited nor plagued by hesitation like before. I felt sharp, felt like a carnivore. Of course, so did the uncle who was trying to run away because he didn't want to die. He didn't want to be eaten, like a herbivore running with all his might, trying to get away. Despite all the attacks, despite all the hits, he kept on fleeing without even staggering. And despite the bad footing in the forest, he impressively never tripped over anything. But there was no need to admire that fact. It was simply proof that he was no more than an animal. If he was chased, he would run. If he was going to be killed, he would run. He bared his fangs all at the weak, but couldn't oppose the strong whatsoever. He was lowly, vulgar, a diminutive animal. Such a puny little creature had harmed Satoko. Scar after scar to her body and mind. Deep wounds that might not ever go away as long as she lived. Ah! Oh. Ah! My cold and calm emotions suddenly turned to bestial ones. My personality changed to something specialized for murder, purely to devour the diminutive animal before me. Uncle gave a puny little shriek, caught his head, and ran. I'm impressed by how much you can run. Fine, run as much as you'd like. It will be your death. I will choose the moment at my leisure. Your legs will hurt, your lungs will feel about to burst, your head will hurt from lack of oxygen. If you feel the pain had become worse than death, then by all means, stop any time. Without turning back, suffocating on his terror of the approaching death, he just ran shamefully onward. He ran, but was chased. His head bashed with the metal bats, sweat drooled flying aerial, blood clinging to him. From his mouth came the sounds of coarse, irregular breathing and high-pitched screaming that verged on crying. And pleas for forgiveness to someone I didn't know who. Each and every second was a second of atonement that I granted him. Now run, run, run. Run, 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 run. Then fall and moan and die. Where did you even crawl out of anyway? You were never here before. If you were never here, you never should have showed up. If you never showed up, our lives would still be fun and enjoyable. We would have gone to today's festival, waited for each other, and gone to the shrine laughing. We would have been playing amongst the stars right about now. We'd be browsing the strange food stalls you only saw at festivals, trying to get prizes from goldfish scooping, ring throwing, and target practice. Mion would surely make it into a competition, and we as a club would have a grand time. And everyone would have been cheering for Rika-chan's dedication dance. And everyone would say how fun it was. It would give us energy for days to come. Fun, enjoyable, and funny. Warm times spent with friends. And that would have happened, but it didn't. And it was all smashed to pieces. There was no doubt that that would be what the world was like if you never showed up. You were the obstacle, the mistake, the heresy in that world. But I would correct that mistake now. I would erase you and make it so this week never happened. Tonight was the Watanagashi festival, the holy night where taking just one life was permitted in the name of Oyoshio-sama's curse. It looked like the Higurashi stopped crying at some point. When the Higurashi cried, everything would end. And the Higurashi silenced. Lowly one, the hour of atonement is at an end. The Higurashi have stopped their crying, and thus it is the end. The end, the end, the end, the end. You don't have to run away anymore. Die with those dirty brains of yours smashed everywhere. Ugh! Lightning and thunder struck like an explosion. So loud it shook the ground, and I smelled gunpowder. The response I got this time was clearly different from the one before. The metal bat crunched into the crown of his head. It was like the top of his head had caved in. The bat felt like it was biting him. I'd been the final killing attack that visited him. When I didn't overlook the opening, he left as his knees gave out under him. Remained alert for a few moments, then fat, he planted both knees into the ground, and then fell forward, burying his head into the ground. Very convenient terrain, making up for him not really being ready to clean up the blood, so the rain will wash it out. I've been holding back my ragged breath, and now it all came out of me like a dam bursting. My head was dizzy and light, and unable to maintain my balance. I leaned against a nearby tree. The uncle didn't try and guard his head any longer. But a disgusting sort of spasm, he stopped moving. Did I get him? Did I get him? For sure? Fought back my exhausted urge to fall over where I stood and drew towards him carefully, bat still at the ready. It's possible he was faking it and trying to wait it out. So I checked for a pulse. Realized right away, though, how necessary that would be. If I thought he might be faking it, then would just have to keep pummeling him until I was satisfied. Fought back, my ragged breath breathing again, swung my bat from above, and brought it down. Clunk. Body leapt like a bow. Didn't try and cover his head. But once again, I aimed for his head and swung. The reaction was the same this time. Spending a few moments making his head into mochi. The hits gradually started to feel different. and it started to spray a filthy dark colored liquid everywhere. That was enough. Definitely now. I'd absolutely killed him. There was no sense of accomplishment, no one of regret. I didn't feel anger towards Satoko's uncle, nor pity towards Satoko herself. Instead, right now, I was feeling that like my heart had been stolen by downpour. I began to rain at some point, and how comfortable it felt. The rainwater drenched my body and dripped down to the ground. Yet people will probably be going home because of the rain. Knowing Satoko who will go through this path. The excitement within me faded as the rain washed away the grime. In exchange, my shoes were so wet they made splashing sounds. Despite abusing Satoshi's bat like that, it wasn't bent very much. There were a few dents in it, probably from hitting the man, but nothing that would make it seem different from before. Instead, it had been stained with black, with red, with mud and blood. That itself would be evidence. The one piece of evidence needed to prove that my delusions hadn't just been daydreams, that I'd ended Satoko's uncle for all eternity. Alright, Keiichi, calm your mind. The time for passion is over. Now is the time to be cold as ice. I need to bury the body. But where was I? I simply followed the man as far as he ran into the darkness. I couldn't take a guess as how far we'd run. It was already pitch black around us. The only light I had to go on was the very faint lights on the road a little further down. It was so dark out. I hadn't noticed the darkness until just now. The visions were so good. I could see the man's ugly hairline. I could have counted the pores in his head. It was only now that I realized how much crazy strength I had mustered at that moment. I went over to the streetlight. I looked up and down the road, desperately trying to figure out where I was. This is... oh no. This is the road connecting him out to town. We were unbelievably far away from Satoko's house. Had the two of us really run such a far distance? The surprise at that was accompanied by knowledge of the malicious fact that despite running so far and making so much noise, I didn't come across anybody at all. There was a long way between here and the ambush location where I dug the hole. There was no way I could carry the body that far. Wait, aside from that, the bike the man took here was still lying in the middle of the path. That would be an issue. The police could tell whose motorcycle it was, look at the license plate. And they wouldn't just leave it at that. Thankfully, the corpse was in a dark forest. In terms of urgency, dealing with the bike would come first. And I wanted to get the shovel back from where I'd left it next to the hole. I shouldn't drag the body there. I would have to deal with this right here. Fortunately, the ground was like mud from the downpour. It was more sludgy here than where I was before. Might be able to dig a grave quickly here. Of course, my bicycle was still over where I'd left it too. It still wasn't over. Homicide had only been half of my goal. The other half would be just as important as the first. I would completely hide the body, not allowing a beginning to happen. I would erase the man that had never existed and regain the peaceful times we had before. I bent my head backwards and cooled my mind even further. The big water droplets struck my brow mercilessly. They were actually quite comfortable, and for a while I let my desires have its way. After confirming that I was sharp again, I started running through the rain. What did you do with the bat? The motorcycle was in the grass at the roadside. Considering how it looked, pelted with rain and covered in mud, it actually seemed like it had been lying here for a very long time. The plan was to drop the motorcycle into the swamp. The swamp was a bit of a walk from here. Lift the bike up. Didn't think it would be so heavy. I was a little surprised. Once I had it upright, it was a fairly easy to roll around. Still, Push this thing all the way to the swamp was really not something I wanted to do. I could no longer ignore my exhaustion, and it warned me numerous times of how far the swamp was. This motorcycle, wonder if I could ride it well enough? Once I got it going, it would basically be the same as a bicycle. Wouldn't it get me to the swamp quickly? Plan suggested by my exhaustion. The anxiety at getting on a motorcycle for the first time withdrew. Turn the key and then just kick the pedals, right? Yeah. Yeah. Vroom vroom. It's on. And then I gripped the handlebars. First the right, then the left. Ah! Maybe I twisted them too much. The bike launched, did a wheelie like an angry horse. I lost for a second. It was just a problem of how much torque to apply. Let's try that again. This time slowly, gently. This time it went well. It was strange to be on a two-wheeled vehicle. It would go even if I didn't pedal. Very odd, but I got used to it quickly. Neon once told me you could get a scooter license within a day, and she was clearly right. This was pretty easy. I need to throw the metal bat into the swamp too. But I didn't know how I would pack the bat onto the motorcycle. Not much other choice, I stuffed it into the back of my shirt, feeling like a ninja carrying a katana. He's gonna have blood on his shirt. If I put the tip down the seat of my pants and hunched over, it wouldn't fall out. I got back on the bike and this time get going without any difficulties. Would the motorcycle really not be noticed by anyone? I guess it's raining. That is obfuscating the sound. I carefully pressed the button labeled light, and rather strong light came on, illuminating the way forward. I probably really shouldn't have turned it on, but I didn't have any way of seeing at this point. I had zero confidence I could ride through this darkness. As the rain came down on me, I maintained a precarious balance and inched my way towards the swamp. Along the way, I ran across a few people who seemed to be returning from the festival. None of them had any interest in me, and they were either all soaked through with the rain or hurrying on their way home, or had their umbrellas low and their heads down. Yesterday might have been wary of those passerbys. Right now, it didn't seem to be much cause for concern. In fact, it would probably be less suspicious to be riding out in the open like this instead of sneaking around. More and more I thought, I started to think of the idea as naive, brought on by my exhausted state. I climbed a steep hill. On a bike, the hill would have put me out of breath, but I just had to accelerate a little bit to climb the entire thing. Motorcycles sure are convenient. For a moment, its lights illuminated a sign before I passed by it. Onigafuchi Swamp. Good children do not play around here. Still, it wasn't like the way to the swamp was cordoned off by metal fence or anything. Parents and teachers would get mad at you if they found out you were playing at the swamp. But some of the bad kids in my class apparently snuck out sometimes to see the giant crayfish in the place. They talked about before how they go to the candy shop and buy some pickled squid, then just tie to the fishing line and throw it in, and all the crayfish would come running. Once I got up to the bank, there was a tiny ritual shrine and traditional ropes on one of the trees. And as it swallowed down for a hole, Blackened Swamp had waited for me. If I slammed on the accelerator from the cliff stop was on now, the thing would fly straight in the middle of the swamp. I had to be careful not to fall with it. But drowned and disappeared. Man, what a stupid ghost story that would be. On the night of Tatarigoroshi, Soko's uncle's corpse was found in the thicket by the road leading to town, and Keiichi Mibara went missing. He would whisper that I'd been demoned away. The 5th year's curse would be a half-baked one. Got off the bike and twisted the accelerator as hard as I could. I let go just when it seemed like it would drag me forward. The bike shot off the cliff. It was swallowed down into the swamp, leaving a far fainter splash than I imagined. The surface was being pummeled by the downpour. The muddy, filthy water was flowing into it. I couldn't even make out the motorbike I'd just thrown in there. It was pretty heavy after all. It would be quickly engulfed by the soft mud at the bottom of the swamp, and it would be pulled deeper and deeper until it reached hell itself. Felt no reluctance whatsoever in throwing the man's motorbike down the land of demons, but I did have a tinge of regret about Satoshi's bat. I washed the bat with muddy water, and the gore sticking to it came off easily. I had sort of shared today's events with Satoshi, so I wanted to give it a quiet place to stay. That's how I felt. I started to feel more like returning it to the locker from before, so I could continue to keep watch over Satoko. Satoshi, I probably well misunderstood you. Satoshi listened quietly without nodding. I am absolutely convinced now. You were the one who beat your aunt to death last year and saved Satoko. I always scorned you and called you a coward who ran away, but I was wrong. The bat did have more bent marks, whatever it's called. Dents, in chapter 1, if I remember right. So, that could be possible. The rest of the world seemed deviant was behind the incident. The rest of the world, some deviant was behind the incident. To the rest of the world. But I know, that was something you did for her. And then you disappeared. Finally got back that peace, and lost it within days. So I swear to you that I will live life to the fullest from now on. Live it, enough for both of us. No! Dude, you'll be caught by the end of the next chapter. I will live as though this week, this day, never happened. But I will never forget the short time we shared together for as long as I live. I didn't know what expression Satoshi made as he listened. But as someone who had protected the same girl, I felt he had smiled and given me his blessing. And then, my hand moved on its own accord, and the bat I had hesitated to throw away left my hand and flew into the air. It traveled its parabolic path, spinning all the while, and the swamp absorbed it without a sound. There weren't even any ripples when it hit the surface. The surface was tempestuous because of the downpour. The bat was long gone. For a moment, I regretted having thrown it, but I realized that might have been what Satoshi had wanted. You're right. I still can't let myself get into motion just yet. I would return for my school shovel, get on my bike, dig a hole to hide the body, and bury it. It seemed like a simple sequence of events, but I felt extremely exhausted and had to do it all tonight. So she left me with only the advice that I need to finish this up soon. Then fell silent for eternity and disappeared at the bottom of a demon's abyss. Returned to the path I had ambushed her uncle on. A bike was hidden, sleeping in the bush. I stood it back up. The whole body felt heavy, but I needed to finish by the end of the day, even if I had to whip myself to do it. I forgot something. Didn't just come here for my bike. The shawl was here too. Not good. I was zoning out. Every once in a while, I let my guard down. Vision almost go black. Pull yourself together, Keiichi Mibara. It's still not over. I went into the grove of trees and looked for the hole in which I'd hidden the shovel. There's gonna be a body there. Fortunately, I'd hidden it deep in the forest, not wanting it to be seen. And now everything was black in the night. I couldn't see anything anymore. I reawakened my fading consciousness and realized just how big this annoyance really was. Wait, you can't be serious. The sweat that rain washed away before came back to my skin. Deep in this forest, where the light streetlights could never reach. The fact that it would be so pitch black would be completely uncalculated. Was with this much darkness, even if I had been able to kill him right away like I'd planned, I didn't know if I still could have buried him without a problem. What should I do? I simply couldn't find a shovel tonight. If I forced myself to go into the forest, I'd lose even my sense of direction. Might actually get lost in there. That might have been an exaggeration, but it was fully possible I'd trip over a tree root and sprain a muscle. Alright, my house's storage room. There was a shovel there, the same fold-up kind. Couldn't I go to this house, get the shovel, and give up on finding the shovel tonight? Not as though the name Mabara is written on the shovel. It seemed like an unusual item for an important variety store. Made in another country, so I didn't want to leave the shovel there. But in this darkness, I couldn't do anything. I should give up and go back to the storage room. And there was an electric lantern in there. If I used that for light, I could look for it. It was so extremely dark. Could I light the way with just the lantern? The light of a lantern in the dark night. I could discard the possibility of drawing eyes. And I doubted if I could find the shovel with the lantern's feeble light. Besides, I'd left the body there for a pretty long time already. A sense of fear, dulled through excessive exhaustion, finally reads its ugly head. Anyway, for now, the most important thing was to hide the body. A shovel being found wouldn't be a big deal, but a corpse? If they found that, I'd share the same fate as Satoshi. First, I'd go back to the storage room at home. Then I'd get the lantern. Now that it's gotten this dark, I might still need light to dig a hole for the body too. And I'd get the other shovel. Then I'd deal with the body first thing. Once this was done, I'd come back here, find the shovel, and bring it back. I had to. I had to do at least that much. I was so tired. But complaining was getting me nowhere. If I started getting complacent now, everything would have been for naught. At some point I had sat down. I gritted my teeth and endured lifting my heavy hips. The night was young. Of all the nights I'd experienced, none had ever been this long. When would it all end? The night was young. Higurashi when they cry. Is it chapter end? Or... ho. We continue. The lights at home were dazzlingly bright. Suddenly, they reminded me of how hungry I was. Checked the clock and saw that it was almost 7. I'd thought for sure it was 2 or 3 in the morning already. I was surprised at how messed up my biological clock had gotten just from this one night. There was a warm light coming from the curtains in the living room window. The worlds between here and what was beyond the curtains was so different. If only the man hadn't shown up, I would have been in that light. I'd still be excited for the festival, and I'd be talking to my parents about how much fun I had with all my friends. And then, even though they made me a hot meal for me, I would have eaten way too much at the stalls, barely eaten any of it, and go back to my room. No doubt, I'd crawl into my futon and easily let myself fall asleep. But right now, I was completely different. There wasn't a single ember of warmth from those weak streetlights. Right now, I was unconnected to any time spent with my family, and there was neither warm food nor time to allow myself to sleep. My body, exposed to the rain, I knew that I simply had to spur myself on to accomplish what I must. I realized how timid, how cowardly I was becoming. For what purpose did I need to kill someone so badly that it was worth feeling this terrible? I'd lost sight of that purpose. I selected the fastest, most fundamental way of saving Satoko and executed it without hesitation. That man was dead. He was gone. He would never ever hurt Satoko again. We all fought frantically for days on end about Satoko's problem, and finally, with no options, we gave up, and I had solved it in one night. By myself, without anyone's help. Right about now, Satoko would be making dinner for her uncle, despite not knowing when he'd return, and she might be spending the night trembling in fear whether he'd yell at her for how it tasted. But her uncle wouldn't come home. She wouldn't have to fear his wrath, nor let him make her feel sad. I see. I did it. I successfully saved Satoko. All I'd been thinking about for a long time was killing that man. I'd forgotten the feeling that I was actually all to save her. I did it. I did something good. Arguably. That's right. I did something good, didn't I? Felt hot tears coming from my eyes. And that's when I first realized that the exhaustion I've been feeling was actually guilt. The blade of guilt. For a while now, just been scraping away with its tip, hurting my heart. It hurt so bad I couldn't stand it. It was throbbing painfully. It hurt so much, it was so painful that I cried. Cried tears of joy at saving Satoko. Didn't know why, really, anymore. Just cried. My tears fell and fell. As I stood there for a moment, coming to terms with those warm tears, my heart was comforted a little. Alright, Kichimibara, that's enough. There's nothing to regret or feel ashamed about. Both my body and mind were thoroughly exhausted, and that was fact. It was only natural I couldn't feel anything. Even tomorrow and the day after that, I might not be able to feel anything for a while. But there was one thing that was true. It was the indisputable fact that I had saved Satoko. I wonder about that. I wonder. With no official, guardian anymore, wouldn't she just go to the orphanage? That and the fact that another person close to her got cursed away might make for bad mental, what's it called? For bad mental image. Like, it might confirm to her that maybe that she's at fault, that she's the reason they're getting cursed, and possibly confirm to her that her brother is gone. Then she might do something stupid. Anyway, especially because if he hides the body, the uncle is the demon away one, which probably means we still need what's it called? A murdered one. Oh well. One day we would surely be rewarded. Assuming there won't be the usual deaths, that is. Of Tomitake and Akano. One day I would be proud of how distressing an enterprise I had undertaken to get Satoko's smile back. And so that I could wait for that day, I had to put finishing touches on this night. If I left it undone, everything I'd accomplished today would be for naught. I looked back up at the sky, which didn't look like it would stop raining anytime soon. Then I rubbed my eyes and summoned forth energy from my core again. How long did I plan on spacing out? This isn't the time for daydreaming. Someone would find a corpse this very moment. That pessimistic thought was proof the very natural emotion of fear had returned to me. As I followed the fear to spur me onward, I went to look for other shovel and a lantern inside the storage room. Was fortunate I remembered what it looked like around the streetlight that the body was near. With how dark it was quite possible I wouldn't have been able to look for it either. Didn't realize uh, that that when I left the place, so the idea of memorizing the spot hadn't even crossed my mind. And that's why I had to call it for that I meant that's why I had to call it fortunate I managed to get back to the body like this. The corpse was now located in a big muddy puddle. Half the thing had already sunk into the mud, like a pool of water. I only realized afterwards that there was an unused irrigation channel right nearby, blocked with fallen leaves and dirt, and there was rainwater flowing in from there. My shoes had been awash with water for a long time now. Without any hesitation, I stepped into the puddle. Luckily, the whole muddy stream washed it all away. That sounds kinda like the. Well, no, that was close to houses. But say, kind of like the place the body was found in the beginning of the chapter. I couldn't leave any slight traces like bloodstains. The rain was like a blessing from heaven. It sure is. Checked around me, paying close attention, then turned off the lantern. It became pitch black, but my eyes got used to the darkness in a few moments. And once I managed to reach the streetlight on the other side, I was able to make out even faint lights. I stuck the shovel into the puddle right next to the corpse. The ground was even looser here than I thought. The shovel tip easily slid inside it. I had to hurry and dig. If I took too much time, I might lose my energy and strength again. Felt almost like digging a hole in the sand at the beach. It was easy to dig, but no matter what, the muddy water kept flowing in, pouring the hole. The digging itself wasn't going as well as I hoped. I dug and dug and the water would go in, and I couldn't sense how deep it was. The only way for me to measure it was to bury my own foot in the mud. I'm digging just fine. It's alright, don't be discouraged. Dig, dig, dig. Occasionally, a car would come by on the road and I'd hurry to hide myself in the trees. Everyone was only passing through. Couldn't you at least go a bit deeper into the forest? You can drag the body that far. I guess you'd risk leaving giblets. And nobody would recognize the giblets as human body parts. They wouldn't have their eyes peeled in this kind of darkness. I wonder. Understand it logically, but I still couldn't help but hide. What I was really scared of wasn't quite the one that one of the cars would coincidentally happen to witness me here. It was that the distance I could spot cars from was getting gradually shorter. At first I noticed the splashing sounds from really far away as cars drove through them. I started noticing them less and less. The car that just passed by didn't notice it until headlights were upon me. Felt my senses growing duller by the second. We saw where to take a peek in secret. It was burying the body. The worst possible time. Maybe I wouldn't even notice. The moment I thought that, I took a good look at all around me. I roused all my half-asleep senses and searched for signs of a presence nearby. What if I found out someone was spying on me from the trees? A carnivorous feeling snarled at me, glaring. If there was, then I would dig another hole. And come this far already. In order to achieve perfection, I didn't care how much more I had to pay. I didn't know what kind of face I was making at the time, but it was definitely a fervently glaring one. My five senses reached the conclusion that nobody was present. I didn't breathe a sigh of relief. How long had I been digging this mud out of here? It was deep enough for it to go up to my knees. Maybe this was enough. Maybe I'd throw the corpse in as a test. Swallowed, getting my breath under control. Despite how much I'd beaten him, I was afraid of touching the corpse. So instead, I dragged it by the feet to the hole. It took more than just a waggle and tug to do it. But of course, it did. Considering the man's weight was easily 90 kilograms. I rallied all my strength and dragged him. Hey, bot got killed. At this point, my groundless fears that he might suddenly start moving again had vanished long ago. His body perfectly fit into the muddy hole. It was more than deep enough. Alright, let's bury him. Quickly, quickly, quickly. If I did a perfect job of burying it here, everything would be fine. I would hide it in the hole and none of this would ever have happened. When I realized I only had a little further to go to finish everything, I was racked with pointless anxiety. I was in a race against time. It was like I was absorbed in a delusion that if I didn't bury the body quickly, it might come back to life. Which is apparently a real option considering the end of chapter 2. It's not. I refuse to believe it, but you know. If it didn't work efficiently, someone might find me. Till now, I figured if someone saw, I'd just kill them. Not anymore. I was arrested with such absolute fear that if someone saw me, it would be all over. As I finished the work, it was a total mess. Splish, splash, splish, splash. Threw the surface of the shovel across the ground, trying to make it flat. Completely covered in mud at this point. I was. The rain washed the mud off my body, but not off my now blackened clothing. My body and mind were caked with panic, with fear, with rain and sweat and mud. My shoulders heaving, I threw down the shovel and sat down in the mud. I was so exhausted. I wanted to lie down right here and sleep. It was over. This time, for real. It was over. Oh, it's just starting. This man was now on the bottom of wet dirt. Right this moment, there were traces that this place had been dug up, but the rain and flowing muddy water completely covered it within moments. Yes, it was over. I did it! I did it! I did it! You motherfucker! And then I fell over backwards, face up in the mud. Bruh. Don't scream. It's raining. Raindrops still don't. Felt at my face without mercy, but I didn't care. After staying there for a while, resting my mind, I got up again. It was over. So let's go home. We already buried the whole thing. Now it's like it's never happened. Oh, he's meeting someone back home. It never happened, so there's no reason for me to stay out here and get rained on. I wobbled to my feet. I wouldn't use the shovel anymore. Considered disassembling it, but I didn't have the strength in my absolute exhaustion, you idiot. I didn't really need to take it apart anyway. Dragging the shovel behind me, I headed towards the light. Stood up with my bike. It had been laying in the grass by the road. Didn't know how I was going to get the still assembled shovel into the front basket. I put the shovel down the back of my shirt like I done with a baseball bat. Unlike the bat, the corner of it was on my back, making it very painful. Plus, if I relaxed my posture even a little, it would fall out behind me. I ended up having to carry the shovel in my left hand and ride my bike using only my right hand. Not only was I in a state of total exhaustion, it was a downpour. One hand on the handlebars, swaying to and from like a drunk. I didn't care. Even swaying like this got a little closer to home every time I pedaled. I saw two lights swaying slowly in front of me. A car was approaching. Oh no, I need to get out of the way. Far from the shadows of the darkness, a car appeared. Dazzling lights washed over me. The driver made a short honk of the horn to inform me I was in the middle of the road. I had to get out of the way. Kept telling myself that, but not only was I riding one-handed, I was exhausted so I couldn't do anything. Wobble, wobble, wobble. I meandered about, not going to the right or to the left. The driver decided to swerve out of the way right in front of me, without lowering its speed much. Steadily came toward me. Its outline grew larger in my vision, telling myself again that I really need to get out of the way. I jerked the handlebar in one direction, then lost my balance and fell over, bike and all. Four bodies sprayed out, and one foot got caught in the bike. It was seriously bad. My drowsiness quickly vanished, and just as cold sweat broke out of my skin. The driver recklessly spun the wheel to the left, made a clockwise U-turn, came right up to me and stopped. The driver's seat opened, and the driver came out. You idiot, what are you doing here? It's Coach. Pretty sure someone would yell at me like that. Oh no! Even worse. Oh my, oh my. Look who it is. It was a woman's voice, and one I knew. I lifted my face off the ground and looked at her. Takano-san. Good evening. The moon is very pretty tonight, my Barakun. It was raining far too hard to see the moon. Takano-san folded an umbrella and smiled as she spoke. The smile was for some reason uncanny, like she'd seen right through me. But of all the people I could have met, I got the sudden feeling that this was the one I wanted to see the least. Why are you out here so late? And you're soaked and covered in mud, and no umbrella either. What is that? A shovel? That come here via car. She wouldn't have known what I was just doing. And yet she smiled as though she knew everything. Calm down, Keiichi Mabara. She always makes that mysterious looking smile, remember? Don't let her on to anything lest you dig your own grave. The rumors say you were playing baseball with a golf club. Is that what the shovel's for too? Hehe, using it as an umbrella? I should tell a good lie here. If I could just do that, things would work out. When I went with Rena to go digging for treasure in the dam, forgot this there. And you went to get it in this downpour? I left my house. I didn't think it would rain, so... Oh, it's been raining for a while, though. You've been out here for quite some time, haven't you? Well, yes, it's kind of wandering about. Even so, you came from that direction, didn't you? Dam is the opposite direction, you know. Hehehehe. Takano was clearly aware that something exceedingly abnormal was happening with me. And she played her little word games, just enjoying dragging me into a corner. Maybe she had a vague guess, just from the situation of what I'd been doing. My timing really sucked. To run into her of all people, of all the times. At the very end, I could only be frustrated at my terrible luck. Now, you had really good luck until now. I'd done so much, and the end was literally right around the corner. So why, at the very, very end, to run into her of all people? What do you think, Keiichi Mabara? You're still holding on to something that could be a dangerous weapon? Will you silence Takano-san? Even if I would be simple to kill Takano-san, dealing with the car she'd come in afterwards would be an issue. I couldn't drive a car. It was completely different from motorbikes. But even if the car was here, as long as there was no proof I killed her. Yes, in tonight's downpour, without any prior planning, or by coincidence, I hit and run. As long as I didn't drop any handkerchiefs with my initials on them, They would never know I killed her. Black flame quietly smoldered in rage in the core of my body. That's a scary look. Did I tease you too much? Hee hee. Tako-san started to laugh by herself and thankfully stopped talking about it. The dark clouds in my mind didn't go away. Leaving that aside, how long are you planning on crawling on the ground with your bike like that? Would you mind moving out of the way? If I moved, she would leave. But tried to get the bike up and out of the way, then twisted my ankle in it and fell over. Ah, shit. There was a sharp pain in my ankle I twisted. This is nonsense. A sprained ankle now? Oh my, are you alright? Did you twist your ankle? Tako-san squats down and takes a good look at the ankle I was rubbing. She compares it to my facial expression, but she's trying to gauge how bad the wound was. Can you stand? Didn't expect to, but I couldn't even stand up. That's all I could do to shamelessly wiggle on the ground like a caterpillar. Tako-san looked at her watch, then at the car, and after thinking for a moment, opened the passenger seat door. Then gave me her shoulder to stand up with. I'll take you home. I do feel bad, since it's almost like I hit you. I'm sorry. I wouldn't just leave you here. There. It's a good thing I'm a nice person. Hee hee hee. Nobody good has ever called himself a nice person. But that would have been a terrible thing to say to someone holding me up like this. I took Takano's hands and sat down in the passenger seat. Takano went around the back and looked at my bike at the ground. Don't suppose we could take the bike home tomorrow? I could clearly tell from her face that she thought it would be a pain, since it would be heavy and it would get her car dirty. My bike has the name Mabara written on it. I couldn't leave it out here like this. Well, can you someone put it in the car? Would have needed. Trunk is already full. I'll put it in the back seat. It'll get the seats dirty with mud. Well, given how you're already in there, it's already dirty, I suppose. Turn back to the back seat and see someone's folded bicycle already there. It still looked big enough to fit my bike in there as well. Especially reflected on my farts. The exact farts seemed to get through to her. Alright, I'll put it in here for you. I'll be really nice to you just for tonight, okay? Hee hee hee. Tako-san continued with her mean jokes, but she hoisted my bike and loaded it into the back seat for me. The mean jokes were one thing, but couldn't she do something about the eerie smile of hers? And even more importantly than the bike, I didn't want to leave the shovel there. The shovel could be directly connected to the buried body and to me. Sorry to ask an affair, but could you get my shovel too? Tako gave me a clearly dubious expression. Your shovel? That's fine with me. Is it important? The more I talk, the worse it gets for me. That's how I felt, so I didn't force myself to answer. Eventually, at last, by my silence, Takano-san gave a short shrug and sighed. Alright, I understand. You need a shovel, right? No need to make such a mean face. Takano-san brought over the shovel that was lying in the middle of the road. I clutched it like I'd never let it go of it again. Takano-san watched me with a puzzled look. Okay, let's be off. Mabara-kun, you live in the Mabara mansion, don't you? Why does everyone call my house the Mabara mansion? It's actually a mansion. Must be nice to be rich. As she spoke, Takano-san pulled the handbrake and stepped on the gas. After making a skillful U-turn using the shoulder of the road, she steadily increased in speed. In the rear view mirror, the accursed place seemed to melt into the darkness. That? Huh? I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. What was that? Takano-san suddenly tried to say something to me, but thoughtlessly I didn't catch it. Looking ahead, Takano-san said the same thing one more time. Uh-oh. The body! Uh, how well was it buried? I thought my heart might beat out my chest, but I didn't let it show. My lungs were squeezed tight and I couldn't breathe. What are you talking about? When burying bodies in the mountains like these, you have to bury it fairly deep because wild dogs will often smell the corpse and dig it out. Some human bone, some human bone a wild dog brings back in its mouth leads to an incident being uncovered. Police head out to a search of the mountain. It actually happens pretty often, you know. Hehehe. Pound, pound, clang, clang. Huge rusted bells started ringing in my head, and I buried it so deep that I couldn't say it absolutely wouldn't be found. The answer was no. I was in such a rush to bury him and get it over with that I couldn't deny having the possibly buried it too close to the surface. No, wait. That's not. Wait, anyway. This woman, how does she know? I just passed by here in a car by coincidence, and we ran into each other by coincidence. If she had been watching the entire thing from the trees, and once I left, came back in her car, it would make logical sense. So then why? Ichimabara. That's it. You need to kill her. Her body reawakened. I could feel my pupils dilate. Couldn't possibly beat her to death with a shovel in such a small car. Then I would use my hands and strangle her. She was driving right now. If I strangle her, we might get into an accident. And suddenly Tako-san turned and looked at me. What, no witty retort? For a moment I was surprised. What was she talking about? It seemed we're not a very good match. Tako-san said, disappointed, turning her gaze ahead. I heard the words she'd said 3 times in my head, and finally realized she'd meant it as an off-color joke. Didn't know whether it was really a joke, but it wouldn't be able to fool her, no matter how many lies I told. Right now, with her driving the car like this, I couldn't kill her. Would have an even harder time doing it when we got back to my house. The moment we met, that had been my best chance. If I missed it so easily, it hurt. After that, Takano-san didn't say a single word. The car was completely buried in an almost suffocating silence. What kind of woman had I run into? Everything that happened today, I managed to pull it off. At the very end of it, I just had to go home and go back to my sleep. What bad luck. My sleepiness gradually took me. The anxiety I felt steadily started to matter less and less. This is really right, Kichimabara. Probably should not leave this woman alive. Right now, I'm tired. Stepped on the brakes, I jerked against my seatbelt. That woke me up. Thought I must have fallen asleep by accident. Looked out the window and there was a big building with faint lights on. It's really dark out, but I knew immediately it was my house. I'll go get your folks for you. Would you mind the place for a few moments while I'm gone? Hehehe. Don't make fun of me, please. Besides, look, I'm fine now. I can walk by myself. Oh my, you were in such pain before that you had to get me to carry you. Did you want a pretty lady to be nice to you? Hehehe. Takano spoke. She left the car and opened up her umbrella. The sound of falling raindrops was fierce as always. I carefully reached down and rubbed the ankle I twisted. There was still some pain and I felt a little weirdness, but they weren't that bad anymore. Rather than being happy about how light the wound was, first registered this whole thing. The hand twisted my ankle. I could have still taken the option of killing Takano right there, then and there. There probably wasn't much about it, but Takano was convinced I was involved in some sort of crime. No, she isn't. If she knew about everything happened with Satoko, then she might have guessed I had killed somebody. Clink. Takuma-san opened the passenger side door for me. You sure you don't need my shoulders? I wouldn't mind doing it for you again. Hehe. I ignored her and answered by getting out the car by myself. Rain was still pretty intense. Got my bicycle out of my back seat. Was a bit curious who the other bike belonged to, but that didn't matter right now. It would be really funny if she also murdered someone. I let Takura-san hold the umbrella over me, then pushed my bicycle up to the front door. Thank you very much. I'll be fine now. My ankle hurt so much earlier, and it still did, but it aggravated me that it hadn't even been that bad. It was really seriously terrible luck. Alright, I'll be leaving then. Give it a secret that we had a nice evening drive together by ourselves, okay? Hehe, especially from Jiro-san. Jiro-san? Oh, she meant Tomitake-san. Or she calls him by his first name. His full name must be Jiro Tomitake then. And then the other bike, the folding one in the back seat that I didn't care about at first, suddenly came to mind. Excuse me, you're from Hinazawa, right? On the day before bicycle he'd been riding, it was... A bicycle in the back belongs to Take-san, doesn't it? Takura-san's eyes, I think they sharpened for a moment. And why do you think that? I saw it when I met him before. The frame stood out to me. But wouldn't that be odd? Do you think it's possible for this to be Jiro-san's bike? Odd? Huh? Takura-san, her hair elegantly fluttering, peers into my eyes. Well, there are no bed and breakfast in Hinazawa, are there? Jiro-san would need to be staying in town. Is that so? Well, I guess that's right, huh? You can't really walk from Hinazawa, can you? There are no buses either. You at least need a bicycle. You didn't need to tell me that. That's why Jiro-san was riding a bike. For Jiro-san's bicycle to be stored in my car, and him to not be here, that would be strange, wouldn't it? It would mean Jiro-san was in Himizawa without a bike. I'd have to have left Jiro-san somewhere and put his bike in a car, wouldn't I? It wouldn't make sense. When she spoke, Takuma-san made eyes like a hawk. Fortunately, I didn't really understand. What was so odd? What about this? That is odd. Aren't you and Tomitake-san friends? Not really think it would be strange for there to be some reason you'd have his bicycle in your car. But it would be. What I mean is, Jiro-san and his bicycle being in different places in Hinazawa wouldn't make sense. For that reason, it means this bicycle can be his. Do you understand now? Takuma-san's roundabout way of talking was hard to comprehend, but that eagerness I could feel, the vague dreadfulness, I didn't like it at all. But the most wild, intensive part of me warned me not to pry. That's my bicycle. Jiro-san picked it out for me, though, so I can't deny that it looks alike. Ah, I see now. I thought it looked similar. You and I never saw each other tonight. And now she was talking about something completely different. What are you talking about? You and I never saw each other tonight. I stayed there not knowing what to say, and Takuma-san repeated the eerie second phrase to me again. You and I never met this night. You and I never saw each other tonight. Somehow cold and unpleasant crawled up my spine. I knew because I'd killed a person with my own hands before. Before I came to the conclusion that I only had one chance to beat this woman to death to keep her quiet, I couldn't hesitate. I could tell that she'd arrived at the same conclusion. My instincts warned me again. I wish I'd never met this woman. The faint sense that I'd like a rotten smell drifting from this woman was no doubt the exact same that I was giving off right now. The very particular aspiration, the lack of uncertainty at taking a human's life, for purpose, one that only those who have risen above everything had. Actually, maybe I should have called it nausea. It meant, and I didn't know how to explain it very well, Takano was the same as me. In other words, someone who shouldn't have been here. Someone I shouldn't have let anybody know was there. Someone who nobody would have wanted to see. And now that we had, we could calmly pretend as though we never met. Yes, which meant that just like I wanted to have nothing else to do with her, she didn't want anything to do with me either. And she too wanted to make it so that we never met. Both of us wished for the same thing. Our desires were the same, which meant Takano's suggestion was extremely practical, and that I couldn't outright refuse. If that's fine with you, then sure, whatever. You and I didn't meet this night. You're right. That would be the best for you too, wouldn't it? Why do you think that? Are you seriously asking me that? You can't figure that out on your own, boy? She cut me off with that condescending word, boy, right in front of my house in a place most unsuited to killing. Yet there was a frozen thirst for blood coming from both of us. I would be killed right here, right now. Yeah, then I should have definitely beaten her as we passed each other. A damn greasy sweat broke out on my body. That's fine. If you want me, then you can come any time. And when I made up my mind, she shook her hair elegantly and turned on her heel. Good. I am a kind person after all. What was good? Oh. Guess she was a kind person, was that it? I didn't get it. Takano-san got into her car. We didn't exchange any words of parting. We performed a massive feat, the killing of Satoko's uncle, yet I didn't feel any accomplishment. On the holy night of Yoshio-sama's curse, which the taking of another's life was allowed. On that terrible rainy night when the demons wandered as agents of Yoshio-sama's will. Demons were never supposed to meet, but suddenly they did. The demons parted ways triumphantly. There was no reason for them to fight. Both their objectives had already been accomplished. With the rain hitting me like a waterfall, my eyes met with Takano-san's through the car window. The female demon, her mouth twisted into a distorted, fearless smile. It was too late to kill her. Far too late. The very first moment we saw each other, had been my best chance. And now that we had parted like this, I was actually aware of it. I should not have let her live. She beeped her horn quickly, then her car drove away into the deluge. The one woman who knew that what really happened tonight disappeared into the dark. As long as she was alive, the night would never really end. Just get into an accident, I thought to myself. In this downpour, slip on some mud or something, and fly face first into a tree and die. That was a delusion, a wild flight of fantasy. It was an earnest wish. Yes, it was a command. Die. Die. Keep your mouth shut for eternity. Because I have no doubt you're wishing for me to die all the same. My curse upon her faded emptily as Takano-san's taillights disappeared into utter darkness. Car's lights were completely out of sight now. Even the sound of the engine faded into the sound of the heavy rain and was inaudible now. I too turned on my heel, to draw the curtains on this insane night, to open my front door and end it all. Again walking towards the front door. It's covered in mud and made a squishing sound with every step I took. Squish, squish. Don't worry, Keiichimabara. Squish, squish. She'll die. Squish, squish. Her end will be as miserable as she is. Throw her into some flames alive and let her dance until she's burned to a crisp. That sounds familiar. I'll burn her to ashes in the fires of hell itself until she's roasted as much as she deserves. I wish I really do. Squish. Huh. Just now, I'm taking a step. And yet, a footstep. emotion, I turned around. There was a footprint that wasn't my own. Then it was obviously someone else's. Else was behind me. Was somebody else there? I was sick of this. Whoever it was, I was sick of everything tonight. This time I would kill them. Kill them without a second thought. I wouldn't hesitate to turn around and dig another hole. Fortunately, there was nobody there. I wasn't going to have to kill any more people tonight. The night I couldn't handle any more of it. Even if I had an extra footstep each time I stopped, just put it down to me being tired. Those invisible people! Higurashi when they cry. Is it chapter end, or do we now justify ourselves to the family? Oh, fire from hell, victim of the 5th year. 2 hours. Well, today's the day I can go long. Let's fucking go. That was a good chapter. Fires from hell. Hello, do you need a hospital or the fire department? The fire department. Is there a fire or some other incident? Please speak slowly and calmly. I think it's a fire. This is the rest area of the Higurashi. I can see tons of fire and smoke coming from the mountains behind us. Nobody goes back there, so I don't know why anything got lit on fire. Anyway, I figured I should let you know. It could turn into a forest fire. Understand. I need to know exactly where you are, so please tell me your name, a phone number, and we can use to get in touch with you the exact location of the fire. Those from the fire department headquarters. You have reported suspicious fire on the western slopes of the mountain. Given its distance from the road, it could be a couple bonfires or someone unlawfully burning trash. Location is deep in the woods. No homes in that area, but the fire could spread. Immediately go to the site to verify. This is the fire station. This is Blub District Fire Department branch. We arrived moments ago to the reported area. Fire confirmed to be burning old drum left in the mountains. The fire is calming and there is no chance it will spread. And, well, the old drum, I think it might be a person. Like a person burned with kerosene or something. Well, I think maybe we should get the police over here. There's no mistaking it. This is a person. Did Takano get murdered again? Victim of the 5th year. This year's curse then. That's what it looks like. Kills them differently every year, but this is a particularly conspicuous, isn't it? Hang out your own throat. This isn't normal. Let's leave the rest of the old man in forensics. I'm sure he'll find some suspicious drugs. Thank you. Thank you for your hard work. Oh, Oishi-san. Tomiyama-san and the others have arrived. Oishi-san, much appreciated. Well, it would seem we have a pretty crazy one this year. Yes, we've been outsmarted. It was absolutely under the impression Teppei Hojo would get killed tonight. Who is the deceased? Jiro Tomitake, photographer with a hobby for coming to Hinamizawa a few times a year. We didn't even have him marked. I wonder what happened. Did they realize we were watching the Hojo residence the whole time and decide to switch the target? Maybe. Sure flopped this one. And there are no problems with Teppei Hojo? Correct. His daughter left the festival in the evening, and a little while later he left on his motorbike. His daughter came back first. Wait. He's not come back yet? Is he still out drinking somewhere? Oi-san, are you there? Call from Chief Takasugi. He's on the line, call one. Yeah, you fucking idiot. I knew the cops had an eye on Teppei. But they suck, apparently. Come on, he gets called out and you don't follow him? Dude. Well, okay, they didn't know he got called out, but still. 3 bodies this year. At first I thought it was a dream. I was staring at this strange sheet, not really understanding what it was. That was all. Didn't go after it, nor did I ridicule it. The fact was that the boring view was the ceiling of my own room. I didn't realize that for a fairly long time. Yes, I thought I had been dreaming, but actually been staring at the ceiling the whole time. Lethargy induced by the voices of the cicadas. Even after I realized I was awake, I couldn't draw forth the energy to sit up. Everything I could see, everything I could hear, everything was like a television broadcast that had already ended. It was hot. So hot I could choke on the heat. My back was moist with night sweats, and felt gross. Unable to endure any longer, I tossed in my futon and finally blood started coursing to my brain. I lazily recalled the long day I had yesterday. In reality, as I lay here listening to the voices of the cicadas, and yesterday, so different from it. In order to kill Satoko's uncle, I had rehearsed, formulated a plan, and dug a hole. It was very hot and I was tired, wasn't I? And when evening came, I went to the school and called him out on the phone. Panicked for a moment when he asked where the police station was, but it worked out. And then I awaited him and swooped down. Couldn't remember anymore what sort of emotions I let control my body. In any case, it didn't go smoothly. But I did it. It was very hard to dig the hole for the body. The feeling of the rain pelted down on me. I didn't think I'll ever forget it. The rain, the mud, and the sprays of blood. The sensation of floundering in a swamp. When I met Takano on the way home, that wasn't good, no matter how I interpreted it. It was the most misfortunate and uncalculated thing that had happened that night. Everything would have been perfect if only I hadn't encountered her. Was just riding my bike with my shovel in one hand through the downpour, utterly soaked. There was no way someone could surmise I was murdered burying a body just from that information. Now that I was thinking calmly, napping in the morning sun, that's what I thought. Still, the more I think about Takano-san's eyes, it seemed like she understood. Takano-san, she knew that I'd killed someone, buried them, and that I'd been seen on my way home, exhausted. Takano-san wouldn't gain anything from selling me out to the police. But that didn't mean I could feel at ease. I should have killed her. I had crossed such a bridge to get my tranquil life back, and I'd finally achieved it as a result. But now, the rest of my life, all the tranquil days started today, I'd have to live in fear of what they could suddenly end. I may have twisted my ankle, out from total exhaustion. The fact that I couldn't make the snap judgment I needed to. I regretted it even more and more as time went on. Don't have a choice, Kishibaba. You don't have a choice at a time like this. You are tired. You are a mess. Even if you had made that decision, you might not have been able to kill her. She might have just beaten you instead. In that sense, parting ways unvetfully could have been the safer option. No matter how sharp Takano-san's intuition was, she had no proof. Her suspecting me didn't amount to evidence by itself. Logically, I know that. But that doesn't mean I have nothing to worry about, does it? Just worry about it when the time comes. Now isn't the time to be worrying. It's time to be smiling, right? You accomplished so much, just to gain a new life starting today, didn't you? then you should be happy at this new morning. Remember, the past is too hard for you. Then just consider everything up to yesterday as having never happened. You said so yourself. You'd bury it all like it never happened. Well, your wish came true. Everything before yesterday never happened. So be happy, Keiichi. I stuck up my hands lazily. It felt a little silly for me to be the one doing it. I heaved a sigh from deep in my belly. The sigh got my lungs moving. Felt like I hadn't been breathing until just now. It wasn't enough to admonish myself over. All the dice that could be thrown already had been. And the numbers that turned up weren't bad at all. I lost with those numbers, then I just have to give up, I guess. Grabbed the chest of my pajamas and flipped it back and forth. Cool air flowed over my sweating body. Okay, nothing before yesterday happened. Nothing. Nothing at all. I'd forget it all. Yesterday was all a dream. What time was it? What, midday? Getting myself up and going to school this late seemed kind of absurd. But I need to go. Felt like going to school would be the first step into my peaceful new life. I didn't care how late I was. I would go. I'd go to school right now and get back to the life I had retaken as soon as I could. My lazy body immediately became lighter at the thought. I rolled up out of the futon, bounced onto my knees, then leaped upright. Nice, struck the landing. I stuck out my chest with pride at my gymnast-like pose, then took a deep breath of fresh air. The brisk morning air had been gone for a while, replaced by the crisp air of summer. Downstairs, I got a stern talking to by my mom. Where were you last night? When did you get back? You tell me you only won't be home for dinner. Things like that. Considering the importance of what I'd accomplished yesterday, a little scolding was no problem. In fact, it even felt like the sort of thing that would happen in such a peaceful life. I listened with an irresponsible smile and stepped out of the sun high overhead. It was around the time lunch break would be ending. Everyone would probably be worrying about me. I didn't go to the festival and now was at the school. Well, maybe they weren't too worried about it, since they would have gotten a small piece of news, but a happy one, from Satoko today. Yes, the small piece of news that her uncle hadn't come home last night. Satoko would probably live her days in nervous tension for a while, thinking he might still come home. Just about to say that. But eventually those days would end. And finally Satoko too would realize her uncle was never coming home. And then Rika-chan would quietly invite her. She would just say, "Can you live with me again?" And everything would be back to normal. Our lives would go back to how they were before the man appeared. Satoko would start wearing that extraordinary smile, complete with those protruding canines, and fool everyone with those traps that she was proud of. I'd probably be her first target out of everyone, but I wouldn't be mad. In fact, I might actually shed tears of joy at the returning of something so normal. Satoko should gradually grow back into the meddlesome personality of hers. I mean, my lack of useful life skills was already completely exposed. I wondered if I'd be able to match Satoko. But that would be such a pleasant thing to see too. Alright, I have to say, who's going to be the first one to notice? Oishi, Rena, or Mion? Ooh, could be Rika. You know what? I'm going for the dark horse. Rika's gonna notice. And with such fuzzy predictions, I didn't feel bad for going to school so late. In fact, I wanted to run there now to get there as soon as I could. Instead, I decided to savor the peacefulness of just going to school like normal, without running. The world I'd obtained for myself, that gave me joy just by walking like this. Yes, the world beginning on the very day was something I had won. Without the monumental feat yesterday, I would never have been able to come to school so cheerfully today. He is going to be so bad at keeping up the facade. School gates came into sight. Just then, I heard the principal ringing the bell to mark the end of lunch break. It was a clear, refreshing sound. Stopped despite myself and let myself take it in. Tap. Stopped abruptly. But there was an extra footstep. The noise that blessedness I was feeling, my whole body withdrew into my paw I could find. As if to replace it, I felt like hundreds of hairy caterpillars were climbing up my feet. Turned back, but of course nobody was there. A single footstep could have been easily my imagination, but the footstep felt so ominous. The extra footstep I heard was seeing Takura-san off like last night. With everything that happened on the insane night, I don't mind something like that happening once. But it had been a hell of a night after all. In fact, having just one hallucination was pretty fortunate. But those footsteps could have ended with just yesterday. So if I heard them again today, there was really only one thing it could have meant. Last night still wasn't over. It was still going. Still, that insane night forever. The step I heard, just one extra footstep, was quietly ridiculing the nonsense notion. The world starting today was completely different from the one ended yesterday. The classmates playing in the schoolyard all vanished inside like the tide going out. When I approached the school, it felt like the warm, fuzzy scene had ended, and didn't feel good. At the entrance, I took quite a quick look in everyone's shoeboxes. Sadako Hojo. She was here. Mion was here too, and Rena, of course. Even Rika-chan was here. Tomita-kun and Okumura were here, in fact. Didn't see any missing classmates. There were shoes missing, they would have to be my own. Took my shoes off and stuck them in, then took out some slippers. There wasn't a single pair in the shoe boxes anymore. That they returned to their rightful state. But as I stepped up onto the wooden floor, I noticed there was just one pair of slippers left. Huh. Whose?
Hojo Satoshi.
Satoshi Hojo. Satoshi, who had never been to school since, disappeared last year. Till now, we had committed the exact same act of violence. I guess in the very end, it went differently. Couldn't make it to school, but here I am. I hadn't repeated the same mistake you made. Wasn't about to let myself feel superior about that. In fact, I felt an odd sense of familiarity with him. A misfortunate bond, someone I'd never met, following the same fate. Headed down the hallway towards the usual classroom. Felt like it had been a whole year since coming here. Hey, did you forget Keiichi Mabara? Hojo didn't really disappear the night of the Ganashi, did he? Hojo disappeared a few days later, on Satoko's birthday, if I was right. I didn't know what day it was. I couldn't say for sure I'd avoided Satoshi's failure unless I remained here past that day. I was still living in the night of insanity. The teacher still hadn't come to the classroom. The other door clattered open, the one the teacher wouldn't use, so everyone turned once to see who had arrived. Everyone looked pretty vacant. Suppose I'll greet them. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I do thank you for coming all the way out here today. Mufufufu. Silence. I started to think I'd fallen flat. Someone finally started laughing for me. Ha 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 ha. Good morning, Kei-chan. You're pretty energetic today. Yeah, energetic. Maybe you haven't gotten out of the festival mood yet. How? Hearing Mion and Rena's cheerful voices made me realize how dumb those dark feelings I'd been having at the entrance really were. In our festive mood, I wasn't festival at all, remember? Well, could say that Rika-chan smiled at me. Hey, did you make sure to watch my dance? Bro, they know. Yep, he saw it just fine. Didn't you see how big of an applause he gave you? And he ignored it when that troublemaker Shion came up and made a pass at him. Ah, take that, Shion. Okay, you're just inserting stuff. That that's fine for you now. You can't cover. Shion won't cover that. Wow, that felt good. Mion started laughing at the memory as she slaps me a few times on the back. Unless. So, how did the target practice contest turn out in the end? Udikan was facing me and talking. There was nobody behind me. That meant he was talking to me? Mitaka turned up dead last. Everyone had a good time with his punishment game. Weren't you supposed to be the one in last place, Rika-chan? It was such a turnaround when you pulled off getting that chewing gum. I should have expected that from a member of my club. Why does this seem like day 1? Episode 1. It was fantastic. At a time like this is a feat only Furada would be allowed to do. Murokun breathed heavily from his nose. In my direction, everyone laughed. If anyone but Rika-chan had done it, it would have been against the rules. Rika-chan gave one of her Nipa smiles as she listened to it. My direction. Renata too turned to me, not turned towards me, and then, with a somewhat embarrassed smile, she whispered to me only I could hear. But really, thanks. Keiichi-kun? For what? The giant stuffed animal. Was really happy. It's nice and safe right at my bedside. I made sure to give it a good night's kiss before bed too. How? The class laughed at that, cheering and jeering. The whole time, conversation had been a little bit off. Wasn't quite getting it. What's this about stuffed animal? What's this? Come on, we all worked really hard at the festival yesterday to get it down, remember? The giant stuffed animal. The giant stuffed animal. Brenda seemed taken aback, but when she answered, she did it with a smile. We were having a hard time knocking it over. We tried aiming at the forehead and rapid fire shooting and stuff. And then Keiichi-kun, you got a whole bunch of guns ready beforehand and shot them all. It was so cool. How? Wait, who was this? All the people in the neighborhood association, including the chairman, were praising you so much at the party afterwards. One of them said he'd fallen in love with the way with your words. Kakozo Kimoyoshi, the chairman of the children committee, I think, said he wanted to trust you with a few of the stars at the next festival. Takuzo is a chair of the refreshment booth. He's on the festival executive committee. Nebara-san is great at making things sound good, isn't he? Yep, when he talks about something, seems a lot better than it actually is. Haha, you can't say that. Hahaha. Keiichi-kun, you make a great salesman. I bet you do great auctioning of all-ripe bananas or something. What have you all been talking about? I mean, I didn't go to the festival in the first place. All those words. They know exactly why, but in Himizawa, this is what had happened. Yesterday during the Watanagashi festival, Keiichi Mibara had appeared. He had romped about with all the usual members of his club. He made a big scene at a few of the stalls, snatched a few items of takoyaki, okonomiyaki in his glee, rating each of them as delicious or terrible to get everyone excited. And they'd seen a gigantic stuffed animal at the target practice game and everyone went after it. And then I got a whole bunch of core guns, firing them in a rapid succession, throwing each one away after using it. And admirably, I shot down the biggest stuffed animal there. And then I gave the stuffed animal the proof of my victory to Rena as a gift. Then our fun came to a close as we had to go see Rika-chan's offertory dance. There was a ton of people squeezed in there, and we got separated. We each managed to get into good positions to cheer Rika-chan on from. Then in the middle, when Shion came and asked me to go hang out with her instead of watching the dedication dance, I refused and stayed put watching the dance until the very end. But who? Who was that? Oh, this smells like supernatural bullshit. Oh no. Because we're taking this into account, the previous episode's Mio being dead a day early seems like the same thing as what happened here. I do not know how to explain this. In chapter 1, it didn't happen as far as I know. In chapter 2, it's not possible everyone in the festival lied because we had the main character perspective and he sure as fuck saw Mio. Master of Disguise? No. That's not happening. Only chapter 3 I could see there being something like... what's it called? Something like everyone pretending Keiichi was there actually. Because Mio fucking understood what Keiichi was doing. So she got everyone to cover for him. That being said, the only other explanation is fucking magic. A doppelganger, some voodoo magic bullshit. And I refuse. Well, everyone's been saying it, haven't they? Keiichi had an urge to yell in anger at my classmates for having so much fun. Talk about the classmates festival yesterday with Keiichi Mibara. What the hell are you guys even talking about? Far stronger than that feeling, though, was the sheer uncanny nature of the reality I couldn't understand. A Keiichi Mibara who wasn't me was in Hinamizawa yesterday. As I threw away my humanity, turned into a demon, and was busy beating Sadako's uncle to death, I was having a great time at the festival last night. What the hell? I had to suffer through so much. Well, I guess an explanation here would be that Keiichi magically slipped between parallel universes. And now he's at the end of episode 1 instead of episode 3. I had to suffer through so much, desperately holding back tears, getting so worn out in that downpour, digging holes, chasing, beating, killing, dragging and burying. Who was the Keiichi Mibara who had ignored me so and spent such a fun, carefree time at the festival, damn it? Who the hell stood in for me as I put my life on the line working so hard to achieve the treasure-like everyday life? If there was another Keiichi Mibara besides me, then what was I? On the night of Tatarigoroshi, where one died and one disappeared, in accordance with Oishio-sama's curse, It was only a demon that killed someone. Dumbfounded as I succumbed to the horrifying possibility, looked around at my classmates. To make sure there was nobody extra I didn't recognize among them. To make sure I wasn't amongst them. The horrifying thought. The real Keiichi Maebara had overslept and had come to school on time. That I, who was no longer Keiichi Maebara, had just waltzed in here. No matter how much I checked, the only people here were ones I knew. The man I met every time I looked in the mirror was not here. Okay, everyone. Time to start afternoon classes. Please take your seats. President, please lead the class. Teacher entered and everyone hurried back to their seats. On finding me, who was so stupidly late, she gave me a stern talking to, but wasn't listening to it. Wasn't our old life supposed to start today? Something wasn't right. It was just strange. I was supposed to go back to my old fun life after yesterday had set foot in an incomparably mysterious world that was completely different from both my old and my recent one. Yes, this was without a doubt a different world than the one I'd been living in until now. There was no way such an absurd thing could be possible. But unless it was true, I couldn't explain it. Anything that just happened. In this classroom, I was surrounded by so many faces I knew, yet I felt isolated. The cicadas sounded no different than they had before now. They seemed somehow false. The air was parched and dry too, making me think, was the air in Himizawa always this uncomfortable? Hey, Rena. What is it? You're in class? Water festival yesterday. What? When would you say I got there? Huh? To be honest, I was pretty excited afterwards, and I gobbled down some cans of beer. I mean, it's kind of embarrassed, but I don't quite remember some things. For some random babbling wasn't a bad excuse. Keiichi-kun, you said you couldn't come at first, didn't you? Called Mi-chan's house about it, right? That matched. Called Mion and told her that to take Satoko in my place, that I wouldn't be able to meet up with them due to the things I had to do. We all decided while we were setting up the festival that we'd invite Satoko-chan. We wanted to bring her out someplace where she could see her uncle for a while. Couldn't see her uncle for a while. That was the same too. Mion said that when I called her. That seems like the same universe as previously. That everyone had already decided to invite her. And then we all went, me, Mi-chan, and Rika-chan to Satoko-chan's house and brought her out. Satoko-chan's uncle seemed like a really mean person. That part didn't matter. What I was truly trying to ask was, well, when did I meet up with you? How could you forget that? Keiichi-kun, this is why I said to get a good night's sleep before the festival. Whatever. When did I meet up with you? Being too insistent. My son threatening demand, and that's almost a loss of words. Oops, I shouldn't have rushed that. Told her I was sorry. It was at the shrine grounds. It was unexpected. You were talking to Rika-chan, weren't you? Yep. You were having fun talk with Rika-chan in the shrine maiden outfit. Then Rena-chan came up and said, "How? I'm taking you home." Talking to Rika-chan. And I asked Kei-chan, "Didn't you have something to do today?" Then you pounded your chest and said it yourself. That letting loose at the festival was more important than some silly errand. Didn't say that. I never said anything like that. Never even went to the shrine grounds yesterday to begin with. I never had the time to stop by a place like that. I went to dig the hole as soon as I woke up. Had a pretty hard time doing it, and that I snuck into the school and made a call. I called him out and lay in wait. Then it started raining really hard. With that kind of downpour, the festival should have to come to a halt. In other words, it ended then. From the time the festival started to when it ended, it would have been impossible for me to swing by the shrine grounds. I was already there when Mion and the others dragged Satoko out and brought her to the shrine. I was talking to Rika-chan. Then, where would Rika-chan say we met? The teacher went out to wash her hands, and I ran over to Rika-chan's desk and asked her directly. With you? Yeah. We were talking to each other before me and the others got there, right? And did we see each other? When and where? I know what you're trying to ask. You know, yesterday I didn't really get enough sleep and my head's a bit fuzzy. Don't remember, I think. Hehehe. It looked like Rika-chan bought into my babbling. Saw each other when the mayor and the others came out of the assembly hall. We were in front of the ritual implement storehouse. Huh? What? The ritual implement storehouse? I'd never heard a building called that before. Or maybe I have, but at the very least I wouldn't know where on the shrine grounds it was. The mayor got really angry at you since you shouldn't go near a holy place without authority, remember? Okay, did you forget that too? I was too scared to ask anymore. The more I asked, the more it became clear without any doubt that Keiichi Maebara was present at the Furuta Shrine ground during the Watanagashi festival. The clearer that became, the more doubts, no fears I had. Who on earth was I yesterday? Whoever that was, he had a good time in my place. He managed to go through the entire day without letting them notice I wasn't there. Alright, when did that person leave everyone? The morning my mother got mad at me for having stayed out so late last night. Which meant at the very least that Keiichi Maebara hadn't come home while my mother was still awake. The festival should have been closed because of the downpour. If I recalled right, when I went back to the house storage room to get another shovel, I think the clock said 7. Since it was already raining hard by then, the festival would have had to close down before 7. If I'd returned that early, I would have definitely run into my parents. Or at the very least, they wouldn't have asked me when I got back last night. With Keiichi Maebara from yesterday, that meant he never went home. That meant the downpour happened, the festival was broken up, everyone left. But he didn't go back to the house. One moment. Sorry? But he didn't go back to the house. That means... When I arrived at the natural conclusion, a wicked chill suddenly froze my spine and climbed up to my brain. That meant Keiichi Maebara was the same as Satoshi. One day he never went home. The night of Watanagashi, he never went home. The downpour interrupted the festival, and on the way home, he suddenly disappeared. And I, who was dealing with the corpse, went home without a problem. I was tired, I was so tired I wasn't even hungry, so I went up to my room without a sound and crawled into my futon. Who was I? That much was obvious. Keiichi Maebara. Keiichi Maebara was me. There may have been another one, but that doesn't negate the fact that I was Keiichi Maebara. Then the other Keiichi Maebara was what? The voices of the cicadas steadily filling the classroom were beginning to bother me. Suddenly I laid my eyes on Satoko. Satoko's expression was dark as always. She seemed completely exhausted. After a life of agony she couldn't even imagine an ending to. What had last night been like for Satoko? Did she have fun with everyone and feel a little happier if even for a moment. And when she went home, the end of her dream, she'd probably gone to sleep afraid of when her uncle would return. And then this morning, the uncle hadn't come home. And then she went to school. But now she must still be trapped by the rotten idea from which she couldn't be saved. Her uncle would need her when she got back. But you can rest easy, said Hugo. Your uncle won't ever be coming back. I couldn't tell her it was because I killed him. Stoko realized on her own that her uncle would never return. Then it would only truly be the end of the long, insane night. That's right. I didn't do anything wrong. I did the best possible thing, and I could have saved. I could have a Satoku's knee. But an atom in my body regretted it. And look, calm down and think, Keiichi. From a certain point of view, isn't it convenient that there was another Keiichi? I buried the corpse perfectly. A beginning wouldn't happen. But if worst case came to worst and it got out, and the investigation got to me, I now had a strong alibi, able to profess the fact that I had been at the Watanagashi festival. But accepting something so creepy and using it as an alibi. Still, if I proved I hadn't gone to the festival yesterday, I would do no good and a whole lot of harm. That was what left the really actually bad aftertaste. You'll forget about it, Keiichi. Everything that happened before today. But just forget about Keiichi who was there yesterday too. Instead, let's watch gently over Satoko for the rest for the day his smile returns. And the day that will mark the end of the insane, all too long night. I am waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's all for today, class. Please go straight back to your homes, everyone. President, if you would. Everybody stand up. At attention. Bow. Goodbye. Thought about many things, and saw my thoughts dispersed by many other things. I didn't know whether or not the time had been spent worrying or daydreaming, but either way came to an end along with the class. Careful, our classmates got their things and ran from the hallway. Me and Rena and Rika-chan were packing up as well. What about Satoko? All day she seemed deflated. Well, her uncle may not have returned last night, but she wouldn't have known he'd never return. How much I wanted to express that fact to her. Satoko picked up her pencil box and match workbook messily, and after a dark glance at the clock, heaved a sigh. Then went to leave the classroom. And suddenly, somebody placed a hand on her shoulders and stopped her. What is it? I watered the plants I was supposed to and got all the printouts done. The words possessed by a precarious complexion hurt. Spoke loudly so that everyone could hear. Hey everyone, why don't we have club today? Been a while. Satoko always had to tend to her uncle. The club has been on hiatus. In our minds, our club was proof of a calm, peaceful life. Enjoying being together, I wanted to make Satoko realize her days of darkness were over. I'm okay. I'll do it. Meep. Well, I mean, I don't mind if it's okay with Satoko. Under a condition. That was important. Everyone up to her, Satoko gave a worried look. Go on, Satoko. It's been a long time. Let's go crazy. Well, I'm happy you feel that way, but my uncle might already be home. Thus spoke her dark eyes, her mouth unmoving. Been choking on life every day for a while. Must be about to suffocate. It's not a good for your mind and body. Once in a while, you gotta have some fun. Please leave it alone. It's not like I don't want to do club again. One word, but. She looked down. Satoko, you know as well as anyone that it's more fun being with everyone, right? We're friends. That means we can spend time with each other. I mean, you had a great time at the festival yesterday with everyone, didn't you? Rena nearly said something, but she was too late. Keiichi-san, what are you saying? My arm on her shoulder seemed to weigh her down, and she threw it off. When exactly was I playing and having fun at the festival? Only one having fun was you, Keiichi-san. Huh. Look over to Mion for help. Now everyone was looking down. My instinct told me Sadako hadn't gone to the festival. Rena said it herself. She went with Mion to Sadako's house to invite her. You had to fuck up. Sadako-chan left on the way there. She didn't go to the shrine. Why? I was absolutely what I just said with Sadako in front of me. She said her uncle was waiting at home and she couldn't have fun by herself. Where we were in front of the shrine, we tried to stop her too. We told her the uncle said it was okay and that he wouldn't get mad if it was a good time. At some point, tears had begun welling up in Sadako's eyes. Sadako was afraid of her uncle. She couldn't even allow herself time with her friends and went home. No, she was even afraid. Keiichi-san, you must have it nice. Having a blast at the festival all night. You told me you went all out, didn't you? I'm very envious. Trying to her tears began to fall. I must provide for my uncle. Completely different from you, with how you let your parents do everything. Sadako. I'm so glad you enjoyed yourself at the festival. So glad you had enough fun for me too. I mean, I want to practice in the club too. Making a racket with everyone, it's so much fun. But right now, I can't. Unable to withstand such violent emotions, a few teardrops slid from her cheeks. But even though she wasn't having such a terrible time, not once did she ever say that it was hard for her. It was a sad, obstinate bravery. The days when Satoko had to feel like that were over. Satoko didn't need to bear it anymore. She could forget all of it now and smile. I was so frustrated at not being able to tell her that directly. Instead, I said something. And I'm not sure I should have said it before I thought twice about it. He didn't come home, did he? Meaning the words were deeply meaningful to me. I didn't know Sadako understood them. Didn't come home. Who? Didn't come home last night, did he? Your uncle. What do you talk about, Keiichi-san? Sadako-chan started with all her might. When has he not been there? Right then. When? Come. I don't understand what you're trying to say, Keiichi. Look, what you're talking about. I mean, when I killed him yesterday. I killed him for sure. I buried him whole. We now have returned to his house. Even yesterday, he was torturing me so much. He yelled at me. He shouted at me. Found fault at everything I did. He threw dinner at me on the floor. He dumped a bowl of miso soup. Hot, messy, and I cleaned it all up. I cleaned all of it. What? Our stories weren't matching up. The night? This morning when he woke up to make him breakfast, he got so mad at me. He would have gotten mad at me whether I gotten up or not. Richard went over to Sadako in a few words of consolation. Sadako angrily refused those words and thrust Rika-chan away. Nini, come back. Crying slowly, Rika-chan went after her. Couldn't stop thinking about what words Sadako had spoken while crying. Heard her uncle last night, but she said this morning. This is impossible. Heard him last night and she couldn't have seen her uncle this morning. What was Satoko? The point I heard Mion's cold voice. Hey Kei-chan, what did you mean about Sakura's uncle? Gulp. I said too much, my emotions got the better of me. Rena heard it too. You said Sadako's uncle didn't come home. Why? Why didn't he come home? That's strange. Sadako-chan's uncle was right there this morning, wasn't he? So why didn't he come back home? Kei-chan, you've been saying weird things for a while. Only Mion and Rena started to speak in a strange, creepy voices. What were they doing? What were they saying? Kei-chan, is it somehow inconvenient for you that Satoko's uncle to be around? No, what are you talking about? Of course it would be better if Satoko's uncle wasn't here. Yep, that's true, of course. If only he weren't here, right? Something wasn't right. The next thing I knew, Mion and Rena were smiling thinly, and their eyes were dark and muddy in a way that I'd never seen before. And our eyes met, the mud even seemed to fill the air. Satoko's uncle is an awful person, no doubt. I think we'd all be better off with him just gone as much as you do. But he's here. There's nothing we can do. Right? Nothing we can do. Something's wrong. Something's clearly wrong here. What the hell was happening? After a moment, a chilly liquid-like feeling as though my blood had been mixed with sherbet crawled up my spine. No choice, I mean, of course there isn't, but then Sadako will never... There's no choice. What would you do? I was trying to prompt me to say more. There really was no choice. So I killed him. I killed him to protect Satoko. That's, leave him alone. I think things will resolve themselves soon enough. Satoko-chan said her uncle was here, so he's here. He was here yesterday and he's here today. She said so, so it's fine, right? Right? Mion Rena was speaking unbelievably dismissively. The fake Mabara became the uncle. Got home, made a triple alibi or whatever. What the fuck is going on? Who in the school is a master shapeshifter? How could they be talking like that? Me and Rena, they were my friends and were seriously worried about Satoko's abuse, weren't they? They would never blurt out something like this. And I definitely killed Satoko's uncle. No matter what Satoko and anyone else says, I wouldn't acknowledge it because him being alive was impossible. There's no way he was alive. It was impossible. And yet, since Sadako herself said she was, then he was alive. I didn't know why or how, but suddenly Mion and Rena were at my side, standing there silently. Let's go home, Kei-chan. After we leave, Rena wants to treasure hunt for the first time in a while. Mi-chan is coming too. Kei-chan, you should come along. Come along. Of course, you're not allowed to refuse. The words could freeze blood. Then there was no doubt that they could have frozen me solid. I could hear it, a strange sound like a layer of ice spread emanating from every joint in my body. And with them close by my sides, we left school as if they were police officers taking me away. But they're about to debrief you. They talked about silly things the entire way home, like they always did, but they always stood at my sides as to prevent me from escaping. So strange. Everything about this day was strange. Actually, it had been strange ever since the previous night. And thinking back, it's been strange ever since killing Satoshi's uncle. The creepy meeting with Takano-san was only the beginning. This insane night was still continuing. Yes, it still hadn't ended. What? What's wrong, Kei-chan? Why did you suddenly stop? Ah, sorry, it's nothing. The stop, it was distant, but I definitely heard them. The extra set of footsteps. That was proof. Proof that an insane night hadn't ended. Mion left when she usually did, and finally we came to my house. Okay, Keiichi-kun. Wait here for me, and I will come back pick you up soon. What was it? She was inviting me along on one of her oversized garbage treasure hunts. Damn sight, right? Why now? Mion came along too. It was strange. Mion may have accepted Rena's little hobby. She hated fishing through the garbage. She'd never come with her before. The location specifically being the dam site was a little creepy. The dam construction site was completely outside the flow of everyday life. It was so remote that no one would ever went there unless they thought to in particular. Nobody lived there, and there was No lights, so at night it got very dark very quickly. I was being forcibly invited there. There was no reason I had to fear Rena and Mion. Besides, wouldn't the trouble I'd make by refusing them be a pain to deal with? That, in that way, it didn't seem like going treasure hunting with them was a bad idea. But the insane night was continuing. Haven't the sirens of instinct been wailing in my mind for a while now, warning me that Rena and Mio were strange, that I needed to be cautious? The warning sirens were so freaking loud, felt like my head would split in two.
あ、レナ、
Rena,
俺、
I actually
実
have
はちょっ
something to
と
do.
用事があるんだ。
用事
Something to do?
何の
Like what?
な
Like
んだっ
what?
て
It's just I have something to do,
用事だよ、
okay?
用事。
用事なら
If you
な
had
んで
something to
みー
do,
ちゃん
why
が
didn't you say
友
it
人
while
に言ってく
Mii-chan
れな
was
くてみ
there?
ーちゃんとは
You already told her
ラ
to
ブ
meet
現
us
場
at
で
the
待
dam
ち合わせ
site
って
when we
言って
split up.
別れちゃった後なの
Rena was
に
smiling, but her words made her discomfort clear.
ごめん。
Sorry.
ちょっとその
I just kind of missed the
言い出
opportunity
す
to
タイミン
say
グを
so.
逃しちゃって。
本当に
Really? You're lying, aren't you? You just made that up now, you liar. That's what Rena's eyes said to me.
俺、
My head
風
hurts.
邪かもしれない。
Might have a
だ
cold.
から病院に
I
行
want
っ
to
て
get it
治
checked
療も
out
らっ
and
て
get
きたい
some
んだ。
medicine.
本当に
Really? That wasn't really a lie. My head did hurt a bit, so I wasn't lying. Rena, she couldn't figure it out if my head hurt or not just by looking at it.
なら仕方ないね
Then I guess that's that. After staring me in the eyes for a few moments, she fired a sharp needle-like stare at me. Tension in my blood loosened, and I felt like my knees might buckle.
診療所に
If
行
you're
くな
going
ら
to the clinic,
早
then
く
you
行っ
should
た
go
方があそ
soon.
こ
Sometimes
たま
they
に早く閉まる
close
から。
early.
ありがとう。
Thanks.
そうするよ。
I'll do that.
必ず行くんだ
Make
よ
sure you go
病
okay.
院
The hospital.
行くよ。
I will.
本当に行くんだ
Go
よ
for real.
行く。
I will. It seemed like Rena had realized that I was going to refuse her invitation for a while now. To how serious she looks, she might actually call the clinic later to make sure I went. I couldn't say anything careless. Lying about getting checked on was just an excuse to decline her request in the first place. It didn't matter whether I actually went.
ちゃ
Yeah,
んと
I'll
行く。な
go.
んなら明日
If you want to, I
病
can
院の
bring
レ
you
シ
a
ート
bill
を持っ
tomorrow.
て行ってもいい。
Oh, that would
そ
be
れいい
good.
必ずも
Be
らって
sure to
ある
bring
ね
it, okay?
レナ
And I will look
明
at
日
it
見る
then.
から
Now that tingle started crawling up on my back. There's no ignoring it when and Mion have been monitoring my movements. That wasn't normal. Far from it. All of this, it was insane. I did what I did because I wanted my peaceful life back. What on earth was all this? It was far from peaceful. Something had gone mad, leading the world out of order. The other Keiichi those creepy footsteps I've been hearing. Rena and Mion acting so curious. Above all, him being alive. Where was I? Hinamizawa village Shishibone. I knew that much. Was this really Hinamizawa I knew?
おい、前
Hey,
原圭一
Keiichi where is this?
ここは
I
Don't
asked,
remember.
whipping around before the front door to face the one who had been following me in my wake all day. Nobody would have been there, of course. Keiichi huh? That's what I just called him. Calling the one who had been training behind me the whole time. Shadowy presence always clinging to me, like it was constantly watching for the opportunity to change places. Footsteps always followed me was another impossibility. I couldn't have been a ghost, so it was just impossible. So the strangeness must have been my ears, my head, or Hinamizawa. Everything I could see was the same exact Hinamizawa I knew so well, and that gave me creeps. Eventually, I decided to actually go to the clinic. I really didn't want to go outside, but a stronger feeling that desire was the fear of Rena might actually be keeping an eye on me to see if I went to the hospital. But before I went to the clinic, there was something I wanted to make sure of. Motherfucker, don't go for the shovel. It was at school. I had to have forgotten something. I was going back to the class to pick it up. As soon as a thought crossed my mind, I was overwhelmed by paranoia. Just going to the classroom, but I hated it so much, having to be so careful to fake it. After carefully verifying once more that nobody was watching, I went over to the locker. Yes, Satoshi's locker. I committed a crime with the bat I found in the locker, Satoshi's bat. And then I had thrown the bat into the swamp, which meant the bat shouldn't have been inside. But, what if the bat was still in here? It was a very dreadful, incomprehensible, but if it was true, it would explain a lot. The bat was in here. Yesterday's events would have all been a delusion. No, an illusion. I hadn't killed anyone, and I had gone to the festival. I had a great time rampaging around with everyone. It would prove that Keiichi Maebara was really me. Prove that I was only under some strange assumption that I had killed Satoko's uncle. Prove that it had all been a wild fantasy. That would explain everything. Nothing happened yesterday. I had just gone mad, unable to separate my shocking uncle-killing dream from reality. That would explain everything. If the bat was there, here, would I be able to accept that reality? If it was here, nothing will have changed. If it was here, it would just mean I'd gone crazy. Preparing myself for the worst, I opened the locker door. I was actually scared of opening it slowly, so I threw it open with a bang. Just like the first time, the choking scent of smell and sweat like a stale towel came flowing out. There was a baseball uniform, miscellaneous other things like notebooks. There was also a shoe pouch, and for the bat, it wasn't here. That's how I've left it when I took the bat out. There was no doubt yesterday really happened. Now that I knew I wasn't a lunatic, I felt relieved. But at the same time, if I wasn't the crazy one, then Hinamizawa was. And that was evidence of reality I found just as a difficult to accept. There was noise somehow creeping into everything I saw. The world was losing a tiny bit of color. So what did I know about last night now? Now that I made sure the bat wasn't there, I didn't need to be here anymore. Shall I go? For real to the hospital? My first time going to the hospital, from what I'd heard, wasn't far from school. My mom had told me where it was. A big, easy-to-see road went straight there. Went past the shopping street, made a turn. It wasn't only hard to spot the sign with Irie Clinic written on it. There was one other person, an older man, there in an air-conditioned waiting room. I went up to the counter and told him it was my first time here. The man behind the counter glanced at the clock and said there would be a short wait. It was almost 5. Clinic hours would be ending soon. As I sat in an unfamiliar waiting room, isolated from everyone, and let myself feel the cool air, I actually felt relieved. What should I tell the doctor when he comes? I tell him I had a cold, but I was the very picture of health. I actually wanted to check my head. Wanted someone to confirm for me whether I was really sane or not. Keiichi Maebara-san? Irie. Please come to the examination room. Huh? Voice from the other side of the examination curtain. But I'd heard it somewhere before. Coach? Hello. This is the first time we've seen each other here. Coach. Coach, you're a doctor? Now that I mention it, he did seem to know his way around when he was looking at my shoulder in the nurse's office. It would make sense if he was actually a doctor. Come to think of it, our teacher called him Irie Sensei, didn't she? Well, yes. I'm more or less a doctor here. Doctors have it really good, you know? You get to see and touch all the young, silky, smooth skin. I could steal their agency with a suspicious injection and have them be my personal maids. Thank you very much. Just seeing them made my cold go away. I believe now. All about. Whoa, wait. Maebara-san? A joke, it was a joke. Come on, sit down and let me take a look at you. I'll need to use my stethoscope to show me your silky smooth chest, Maebara-san. For some reason, felt really relieved. After that insane night, as much as I thought everyone had gone crazy, Port was here doing the same thing he always did. I was really happy for that. You don't seem to have a cold. Actually, those scrubs and cuts all you seem to be a painful thing. Don't tell me you were playing the bushes with short sleeves and shorts. I mean, I didn't say for sure you haven't been infected with tetanus. As I was chasing the man last night, I kept being scraped by little bits of trees. I didn't realize I had so many cuts. Went a little crazy at the festival yesterday. Enjoy that while you're young. And once again, I apparently went to the festival. Coach, did you go to the festival? Yes, of course I did. I may be a doctor, but I'm also a Tatarigoroshi executive committee. Did you see me there? Coach was the same coach that I've always known. Felt like I could trust him more than my weird friend, so I asked. Well, actually, I was drinking in the main tent with the chairman and the others the whole time. I didn't go out to the festival at all. I don't think I saw you. Oh, that was a strange question. Perhaps you didn't sleep well last night? You can't do that. You have to sleep and eat well to grow up fine. Coach let out a laugh. Didn't laugh in an unnatural way like Mune and Rena did. Coach was okay. He was the coach from the world I knew. He wasn't someone from an abnormal world. Well, this all might seem a little weird to you, but I want you to hear me out without laughing. Yes, go ahead. Greatly welcome any shy, bashful worries you might have as you come into puberty. Could it be possible that I have an identical twin? Coach unexpected that question at all. Couldn't say anything for a moment. Then he smiled calmly and quietly answered. This is just superstition, but I've heard before that everyone has two other people in the world who look just like them. If there was, I'd certainly like to meet them though. There are also plenty of characters who a person double appears. German ones about doppelgangers are probably the most famous. Doppelgangers? Yes, they look exactly like another person. Apparently they herald misfortune. If you meet one, you're sure to die soon. I think that's how it went. When you meet them, you're sure to die soon. Story ended directly in death, plain and simple. Made my spine tingle. Coach wasn't saying it to scare me though, he was just offering a casual anecdote. That made it feel all the more real. Have you ever heard of one of those things showing up in Hinizawa? What? Well, I can't say that I have. Coach must have thought he was being teased, so I laughed in an exaggerated way. But when I didn't smile along with him, his laughter steadily grew fainter. I'm sorry, well, sort of being serious. No, I apologize for laughing. Was there something you were worried about? Wondered if I should tell him. And after throwing myself one final time, I slowly spoke. I didn't go to the festival yesterday. Is that right? Well, there will be one next year. Then you can... That's what I mean. Didn't go to the festival, but according to everyone else, I was there. That even be possible? After blinking his eyes in amazement, Coach thought seriously about what I was trying to say. And he answered, choosing his words carefully. Let me make sure I have this straight. Mabara-kun, you went to the Tatarigoroshi festival but don't remember it, am I right? Trying to say something completely different, but I suppose any sane person would come to that conclusion. The night Keiichi Mabara was actually at the festival, but I was saying I didn't go. That obviously meant my memories of going there have failed me. But that was absolutely impossible. The vivid act I committed during the downpour couldn't possibly have been an illusion. All the scrapes on my body prove as does the fact that that wasn't in the locker. No, that's not it, Coach. I really didn't go to the festival. Please don't take offense, Mabara-san. Have you ever heard an experience where you were suddenly somewhere unfamiliar and you couldn't remember why? No. And I didn't lose my memories or anything. Because while the festival was going on, I was definitely doing something else. It wasn't like I was asleep and unconscious or anything. You're certain you're doing something else? I know I'm being awful rude, but you're sure you're not mistaken? I know I'm not. My memories are clear as day, and they are real. During the festival, you weren't at the shrine, you were doing something somewhere else. Can you definitely prove that? That's right. Thinking it through brought me to this. There was only one way to prove that I really wasn't at the festival yesterday. And that was to show that there was no doubt I killed her uncle. Coach saw me struggle to answer, and his eyes looked a little cold. Yes, they would. All the coach's perspective was a weirdo spouting nonsense. Would you like to lay down? Maybe you should relax and take it easy for a bit. Sorry, I didn't really come here to lay down. You seem to be a little worked up. Why don't I give you a sedative, then I'll let you sleep for a bit. That way, I'm not being strange. Previous coach was treating me like a deviant, so I raised my voice. I apologize if I've offended you. Please calm down. I definitely didn't go to the festival. That's the truth. I understand. Understand, so please calm down and take a deep breath. No, you do not understand at all. Somehow it's moments like this that make me the most disappointed at Keiichi. Coach was stunned and stared in stupefaction. I do understand, my son. You didn't go to the festival yesterday. That's right. I believe you. I believe you. Coach jotted down a brief note in the records. He was writing it in German, so that his patient wouldn't know what it said. But I could make a good guess at what he wrote. You won't believe me until I tell you everything I was doing at the time, will you? No, I believe you. Please sit down. I was sat down until my head back a little. The blood in my face all drained and quieted down. I was taking a deep breath and made sure that I was calm now. It would have been impossible for me to be at the festival. Because at the time I was. Should I tell him or not? I really didn't want to go on living like this, feeling this horrible. Keiichi Mabara, why do you have to look a gift horse in its mouth? Take the W. I'm not sure the whole village is pretending for you. I'm not sure if... what's it called? I'm not sure if the whole village is pretending for you, or if there's some mystical bullshit going on. But dude, take the W. And I said them, my final fatal words. Because I was killing Satoko's uncle at the time. It smelled the concrete in the room. I could feel the air around us sharpen. Nobody moved. The only sound of the clock ticking told us time hadn't stopped. Mouth wide open, Kojin forgot to blink for a little while. You killed Satoko's uncle. Yeah. It's fine now, Kichimebara. Don't hesitate. Admit it with all your strength. Yes. Last night I did it. I killed him. Spoke clearly and fluidly. Could easily tell Coach's mind had gone completely blank. Why would you? No. That was a foolish question. But it was the most direct method of saving Satoko, so carried it out. I didn't have any regrets. I see. Coach smiled thinly and nodded a bit. So I couldn't have been at the festival. I left the brightness of my voice for the darkness of the outside. After that I got home, made phone calls, I had my hands full. Then I attacked him. I killed him, and I buried him. I was pouring hard at the time. The festival started that evening. It was suspended due to the rain. There was no gaps in my memories. From the late afternoon until it started to rain. There was no time for me to possibly have gone to the festival. And those wounds, are they from that? Yes. There's a road through near Satoko's house. I attacked him there, he ran, I chased him, finally killed him near the road that leads to town. Is that true? Killing her uncle, it wasn't some wild fantasy. I could tell that Coach didn't believe me. I spoke slowly, not letting myself get growing excited. It's true. I killed him with Satoshi's bat. I threw it in the Uncle Motorbus into the swamp. I dug a hole, killed him and buried him. Did it all by myself. Satoko-chan's uncle drove past you on a motorbus, did he? Then you predicted he'd do that and just waited? I assumed he wouldn't be leaving his house that day, so I lied to him over the phone to get him out. You called him, but your house is far away from Satoko-chan's. I wouldn't think you would be able to make it there so soon after calling him. I used the phone closer to where I was going to attack him, the one at school. Maibara-san, was Sunday. Wouldn't the school have been locked up? A forester ranger happened to go inside for a bit. I slipped in when I had a chance. After that, Coach grilled me on a few different things regarding the incident. He made sure to question me carefully, looking for any contradiction in my account. I'll believe you. What you did yesterday doesn't seem like a dream. I explained everything, including the minor details that only someone had actually committed the act could explain. Of course I could. Of course. It was only yesterday. Coach realized that my story had no expedient coincidences or too convenient details that would have existed in a daydream or delusion, and finally seemed to want to believe me. So, do you still think I went to a festival and lost my memory? Coach slowly shook his head. Everyone in class, they said I was at the festival yesterday. Is that even possible? No, it is not. Your classmates probably mistook you for someone who looked very similar. Then given how group psychology works, everyone just assumed you had been at the festival. They couldn't have mistaken me. Neon and all had said they would spend time with Keiichi Maibara. It was too much than just mistaking someone else for me. But saying that out loud would just confuse Coach. He spoke to me in whispered tones. Do you feel guilty at all? It didn't sound like he was criticizing me. And even if he had, I would have flatly said the same thing. I don't. I did so I could return to the peaceful days that he'd stolen from us. I plan to forget all about having killed him and live my life as usual. Once Tatarigoro's smile returns, one from before he showed up, everything would finally be over. Any chance that someone witnessed the crime? I don't think so. If someone had seen me, it would have been arrested already. I am a doctor. My job is to save lives. I cannot make any statements to the effect of condoning to taking another's life. Instead, I will say this. Coach slowly rose and placed my hands on my shoulders. Saying Satoko-chan, I thank you. Coach's eyes started shedding warm tears. When I looked at him, I started to feel some tears of my own. I didn't know what I was crying for. And so for a while, the two men in the room fought back their tears. But it's strange. What is? I'm sure I killed him, and yet he seems to have returned home alive. Coach's expression immediately sharpened. Depending on the situation, there are many ways that mere unconscious can look like real death to a layperson. Do you think it's possible he was just knocked out? I didn't check for a pulse, but I'm pretty sure I did him in. Can I ask you to reproduce the situation in which you attacked him, Maibara-san? Coach rolled up for a Health and Fitness Week poster nearby and offered it to me. Though I may have been lost in motions of beast that night, I remember the detailed number of times swung the bat, the angles I had swung, the force I had applied. Using Coach as a stand-in for the uncle, I reproduced them over and over. And when he tripped and fell, I bashed him on top of the head like this. When I did it, it felt different from the other strikes. But I cracked his skull. Coach was calmly analyzing the information using the places struck, situation at hand, to find out what the state of Uncle's body would have been. I was totally sure he was dead, so I hit him a few more times after he fell. Did he react at all? At first, it sort of felt his body jolting with every hit. Eventually, that stopped too and didn't react at all. Coach folded his arms and said a few times. Then he spoke. He's dead. There's not much doubt about it. Didn't just look like he was? Can't say very much from just the story, Maibara-san. I think it's almost certain. Besides, you buried the corpse in the mud. Took you quite a bit, right? Let's say it took you 30 minutes. That would mean he was buried under the muddy water for those 30 minutes. You didn't breathe for that long, your brain will die no matter what. I mean, even knowing how hard I hit him, would have died while I was burying him? That's right. It's impossible to stay alive, buried underground for 30 minutes. Impossible, you're right. But Satoko, she says he's alive. Coach, a doctor just gave his stamp of approval that he's dead for sure. That made it all the more unfair that he could still be among the living. Now the question, how sure are you, Maibara-san? This is a really
とて
horrible
も
idea,
恐ろ
but
しい想像。前原さん
is
が
it possible that
殺
the
した
person you
相手
killed
が
wasn't actually her uncle? Huh? He's right. That could be why. It cleared up the inconsistencies of my definitely having killed someone, but him still being alive.
そんなはずはない。
There's no
だっ
way.
てほら
I mean, we were both at
監督と
Satoko's
一緒に
house when
里子の家の前で
she
酒瓶
was
の袋
bringing
を
his
運んだ時
alcohol inside. There
窓
was a
から
man
顔
who
を出した
stuck
男がい
his
たじゃないで
face
すか。
out the window to look.
あいつですよね。
It was him, right?
里子のおじは
That was Satoko's uncle, right?
ええ
Yes.
間違いありま
You're
せん。
not wrong.
あの男で
It was
す。
that man.
実はもう一
Could
人おじがい
she
る
have
なん
had
て
more
こと
than
は
one uncle or something?
聞いたことがありません。
Not one that I've heard
あ
of.
の男だけで
It's
す。
just
あい
him.
つの特徴を
Could you tell me what he
教え
looked
てもらえ
like?
ますか。
Well, his height first was about
175
175 centimeters, maybe a bit
もう
taller.
少しあるかもしれません。
It's hard to eliminate the worst possibility that I killed someone else. Code began to thoroughly compare the man in my mind, like I had told him the person I killed looked like. No matter how in-depth the description went, none of the characteristics differed. The uncle's trait, according to Code, were all exactly the same as the person I'd killed. But those traits were all extremely vague, and they weren't particularly distinct at a glance.
もっとこ
Could
う
you, well, is there anyone
絶
else,
対にあいつ
anything
だ
else
と
about
証
him
明
that
で
would
きる
let
特
us
徴
identify
はあり
him
ませ
for
んか。
sure?
そういえば
Now that you mention it,
私
I've
は見
never
たこと
seen
あ
it,
りませ
but
んが、さとこちゃん
I
が
believe Sadako-chan once said a long time ago that had a tattoo of a tiger or something on his back.
入れ墨
Tattoo? That was really important. Not everyone had a tattoo. If I found a tiger tattoo on his back man's corpse, it would prove I'd killed him, the right one. The moment I thought there was one more thing that would verify this. Go to Satoko's house and see for myself the uncle that had returned home, despite having died. But that was far more terrifying than digging up the body and looking at its back. Without even looking at the tattoo, I knew for sure that the one I'd killed had been Satoko's uncle. Cracked his skull open and killed him. And yet he'd gone back home. There wasn't any misunderstanding, and in the shadow of a doubt in my mind about having killed him. And yet, it was impossible for him to exist. Kind of like how Keiichi Mibara had been at the festival despite it being impossible. The small commonality made me feel as though a faint but bizarre force was permeating the inside of Hinamizawa.
一体
I wonder,
どう
what
い
on
うこと
earth
なの
could
で
have
しょう。
happened?
前原さんはお
Despite you
祭
not
り
going
に
to the
は
festival and killing Sadako-chan's
お
uncle,
祭りにはあな
you were
た
at
が
the
いる。
festival and the uncle you killed is
そして
alive.
何が何だか
None of this makes any
そうやっ
sense.
て整
When I
理
look
して
at
みると
everything that way,
まるで
almost like
俺
I'm
の
just having a
悪い夢を
nightmare
見
and
ている
there's no killer at
でも
all. But
事
it's
実
the
この
truth.
手で
The sensation I use in my hands, the bat to bash him against, is no illusion or dream.
絶対に夢や
Coach
幻
let
なん
out
か
a
じゃないんです
low sigh, then after looking at the clock, got up.
ちょっとこの話
Let's go with
もう
this
少
a
し
little
真剣にやりましょう
more
ちょっ
seriously.
と失礼し
If you
て
excuse me, I'll
紅
go
茶で
put
も入
on
れて
some
きて
tea.
診療所も
Clinic's about to
終わ
close
りの
after
事
all.
務の方とかも
I'll need to let the
返
other
してあげる
employees leave. Oh, he's calling the police. Coach stood up and went out into the hallway, leaving me alone. The clock was about to strike 6. That or he's about to get ambushed. I was at the festival and the uncle I'd killed was alive. Had I really committed murder yesterday? The only whisper of fact that proved it happened was the absence of that bat from Satoshi's locker. In any case, I was glad that Coach had taken my nonsense seriously. Just confessed to murder. Normally that would frighten a person away, but Coach didn't run. He cried for me. I was glad he did. Like so, my tensions melted away. I suddenly realized I really had to urinate. I had to use the restroom while Coach had stepped out. There was one across the waiting room. As soon as I left the room, I saw Coach and 2 male doctors wearing white gloves standing in the shadows of the hallway nearby. They didn't particularly tend to eavesdrop or anything, but was quite surprised upon noticing how uneasy they seemed. I hid behind the wall and quietly listened in. It seemed like Coach was giving directions to the 2 doctors.
紅茶ですね。
Like tea?
用意します。
I'll make some.
睡眠導入剤を入れ
Mix in the sedative you think best for the occasion.
味はミルクと砂
Powder taste with milk and sugar.
急激な眠気に
He may grow suspicious at the sudden onset of drowsiness. It's possible he may have to get agitated and become violent.
その場合は
We will handle that.
男性スタッフ
How
は
many male
まだ
staff
何
are
人か
still here?
山犬が一人
One mountain
そ
dog.
れに私たち
Bring
は
us
3人です
3. What was all this? I think I was already agitated despite what Coach said. What was it? It's just a small casual coincidence. It's only sounding unbelievable to me. Coach said he would bring some black tea and left the room. And then in the shadows, he was telling his subordinates to put some kind of sleeping powder in the tea. Plus, they were getting extra help in case I thought the sudden sleepiness was suspicious that they're getting violent. Hey, wait, Kichimabara. Calm down, calm down. There's no way something this stupid could be happening. I mean, he was genuinely listening to my story. He even cried with me. I thought he was the one person in Mizawa who would understand. This was... There are signs of fabrications of falsehood, and his memories of yesterday in particular are completely confused. He can no longer tell truth from falsehood. It's quite similar to multiple personality disorder. As for how quickly the mental disorder emerged, it's just not normal. Maybe it's inborn, or perhaps there are signs of it before he moved here. I'd like to take a look at any records of him saying the mental hospital before he moved here. In any case, I want him to take a quiet nap. The doctors nodded deeply. I should probably contact my Maibara-san's parents too. But I can't think of what to tell them. Please find his phone number for me. My eyes still moist began to shed tears. What? I'm on Coach's side. This explains it perfectly well. Maibara is just fucking crazy. That was too cruel. I really thought he had actually stood and had believed what I told him. But now, on the other side of the wall, he was bluntly treating me like a crazy person. I believed you. I believed you. I had let down my guard because I thought you were the only ally I had left after the insane night. Was that a lie? After that, about thanking me on Sadako's behalf, you were just pretending in order to keep me placated. Ugh! My tears fell to the ground in frustration. I was an idiot. I was an idiot. Such an idiot for believing that bastard. Heard footsteps approaching the doctors. A man in a dress shirt with no tie came running up. Hero staff, Dr. Irie, it's terrible. They found Takano-san. Takano-san? What? Where? Well, apparently they discovered her burned corpse in the mountain of Gifu. She's dead? Takano-san? Men, all surprised, exchanged glances. Dead. Takano-san. Hey, wait, so then, does that mean when I cursed her, wishing for her death, the wish was granted? What do you mean, burned corpse? Was it an accident? According to the statement from the prefecture police department, the possibility is extremely high that she was murdered. As I cried, I laughed quietly. Serves you right, serves you right. If I hadn't run into the woman, my murder would have been perfect. But she just had to come up driving to me, try to coerce me like that. Regret not having killed her on the spot. Now she was dead anyway. My curse, my wish for her demise, it was fulfilled. Serves you right. Serves you right. Yuisa-san died, and Takano-san died. What on earth could have happened in Mizawa? Don't tell me. Is Oroshiya's curse for this year? I cannot let the curse be real, Coach said. Everyone present just nodded as the coach cursed at no one in particular. Yes, maybe it wasn't Oroshiya-sama, but this was definitely a spell, a curse. A wish for her to die. So she did. If this wasn't just a coincidence and she died because I wished for it, then you'll die next, Coach. You betrayed me. You pretended to believe me, but deep down you thought I was a madman. You looked down on me with all the pity in your eyes. For now, get the black tea ready. I'll bring it inside. I don't think he'd let anyone beside me be alone with him. Shit. What do I do? What do I do, Kichimabara? This time I heard the voice of a nurse. Dr. Irie! Oh, there you are. Our phone call. I'm a little busy at the moment, so please tell them I'll be back. Quick back. Who is it from? It's Oishi from Okuniya Police Department. Ah, jeez, what bad timing. Alright, I'll answer it. Coach left to answer the phone. The other men headed towards the room with the teapot to make the black tea like Coach had ordered them to. Fortunately, Coach's having to take the phone call meant that there would be extra time for me to act. I had to decide what to do now. Would I let him make me drink the sedative-infused tea, or be held down and thrown into a mental hospital? Nothing would come from starting a brawl here. They had more people anyway. They were all bigger than me. If it came to a fight, I don't stand a chance in hell. If I couldn't win against them, then there was only one thing left to do. Run! Adrenaline suddenly rushed into my brain and my body started to move with the keen instinct like it had on that night. My surface temperature quickly cooled, transmission routes between my cells enlarged. Using 360-degree visual information, I searched for an escape route. I would open the window behind me. Outside was a parking lot. There was no cars. A little beyond there was a bicycle I had taken to get here. Determined that this wouldn't be the quickest method of escaping, I approached the window and swiftly but with little sound raised as little suspicion as I could. With the speed and silence of a shadow, like I'd had on the night I chased her uncle, unlocked the window and opened it up. Cool evening breeze wafted in. About to fall and die. I stuck my head out and looked over the parking lot again. Nobody in sight. Need to hesitate. Part the crowd outside and closed the window behind me. Held my breath and listened carefully. Nobody seemed to have realized I'd run. Looked around. I jumped onto my bicycle and zoomed away. Pedals clattered under the force. Had my bike always creaked like this? Did the pedals always whine every time I pushed down on them? My bike wasn't the only one crying though. My tears fell as the wind cut through them. They rolled in the breeze and scattered behind me. Ugh, I hate this. I'm not the crazy one, you know it's ours. How dare you treat me like a madman? Die, just fucking die already. I believed in you, I believed you. Rah. Gone to the hospital in order to escape Baron Mion's invitation. Reality that was waiting for me had been too cruel. Who was insane, me or Hinmizawa? Or was it the answer something else? I started having trouble breathing. I hadn't have any clue what was happening anymore. The loud chirping of the Higurashi were irritating me. Where even the Higurashi? Hinmizawa Higurashi I knew so well, calling into the wind. No, that wasn't quite it. They weren't calling. They were crying. The pained wailing of the lost in some kind of rhythm in another world, no longer able to return to their own sunlight. I didn't do all that to end up in a world like that. And actually, at about this time, I might have been having fun with everyone else. Satoko would have gotten her smile back, realizing her uncle wouldn't ever come back home, and she might have shown it to us at our first club meeting in a while. That was the kind of world I wished for. So what was this? Why did I end up in such a strange, ghastly world? Someone I killed was living like normal, and I had enjoyed myself at the festival despite not being there. I didn't want it. I didn't want this strange world. When did it start to go wrong? When? When? No matter how much I thought about it, I never understood. I rode swiftly and returned to my home. It had begun to rain during my journey back, and just like yesterday, I was now soaked. But I didn't care about something so trivial right now. The pain I felt in my heart that Coach, the one person I trusted, was acting so cruelly was far worse. Did I have no Alice in Mizawa anymore? In the naive thought that I at least wanted my parents to side with me, I stepped up to the front door. Wait, Keiichi. Be dark soon. Something you want to check, right? Yes. I wanted to dig up the man's corpse and get a look at his back. There was a tiger tattoo there. I would know beyond a doubt that he was Satoko's uncle. That long night wouldn't end until I was certain. If this insane world was all repetition, all a divine punishment, then I needed to make certain whether I had been successful enough even deserved to pay the price. I went to the storage room and got the shovel. I'd been washed in the rain, but the paint was peeling, making it look unsightly. I never ever wanted to touch that thing again. The sensation of it in my hand was totally different from the night before. There was a ruthless coldness about it. Yeah, it would be dark soon, so I needed a lantern too. There would be a little bit of light from the streetlight, but I would get extremely dark. But I put the lantern here, but suddenly noticed it wasn't anywhere to be found. Then it hit me like a bolt of lightning. Of course. On that night, I hadn't brought the lantern back with me. I'd left it in the place I buried the body. I didn't go back to get it soon. It would get very dark. Then not only would I be unable to find the spot I'd buried the corpse, I wouldn't be able to find the lantern itself. If that happened, it was all over.
急ごう。
Need to hurry. In order to find the shovel in the basket in front of a bike, I need to twist it and disassemble it. It looked like there was dirt in the joints, and no matter how hard I pushed, it didn't want to come apart. With a strenuous effort, I realized I couldn't get it apart, so I decided to hold it in one hand and ride my bike with the other. Because that worked so great last time. The downpour soaking me through, and a shovel in one hand, was riding one-handed. It was as if I'd returned to that night. And no return was the wrong word. It was more like the night had never ended. The pain of the raindrops striking me were no different from then. The thing that was different was Hinamizawa. The world and nothing else. The rain clouds were already making it dark, and now was about the time for the sun to set. I could tell it would only get rapidly darker. The straight road to town. In the middle of it, that should be where I buried it. Yes, it was near the streetlight. On that night too, the water from the downpour was splashing down from the streetlights overhead like a waterfall. The pouring rain was exactly the same as it had been that night, and thus it brought my memories to focus. I left my bike in the bush and stepped into the forest, the ground already soaked in mud. Where had I buried him? Think. The darkness, the shadows, the water, the mud. Everything was the same. Think. Then I stopped the lantern by a fallen moss-covered tree. That's right, I left it right here. If I left the lantern there, then then I would have buried him over here. The sensation of standing in the sludge, my feet remembered the spot better than my eyes did. I plunged my shovel into the ground. It's hard. Wasn't here. Just dug it up, so it should have been softer. Put my shovel down in a few spots to test what they feel like. One of them clearly felt deeper. I recalled where the lantern was, where the trees and the other things in relation to each other, and knew it had to be there. Under here slept the man's corpse. There would definitely be the tattoo of a tiger on his back. But if it wasn't there, then I had made a horrible mistake, killed someone completely unrelated instead. I would be more dazed at the fact that Satoko's uncle wasn't dead than I would regret having gotten someone else mixed up in this. If this insane world was punishment for the sin of committing murder, I wouldn't be able to accept it until I killed Satoko's uncle for good. And then without any fear, I'd attack him again. And that time I would kill him for sure. But what if the tattoo was there? That would mean I'd killed Satoko's uncle. But that would be terribly strange. If I'd killed him for sure, then who was the uncle at Satoko's house this very moment? Impossible. I didn't even know anymore what I was using the word impossible to refer to. I've used the word quite a few times today. If I had to make the words impossible fit just one thing, what would it be? That much was obvious to me. It would be impossible for this crazy world to be real. I shouted, then turned behind me. There was nobody there, of course. I'd been bothering me for a while, but those footsteps had followed me the entire day. Even just now, an extra footsteps had splashed behind me. No one was actually there. No indication of anyone even. But they were there. Who are you? You've been following me ever since I came to this world. That's right. Thinking back, the first time I'd heard those footsteps was after Takano-san and I had parted. Those footsteps were my welcome into this strange, inside-out world. No one could be there. I'd get no response. Whoever it was, they just kept staring at me. It wasn't ominous, just unpleasant. After staring into space for a bit, as I bathed in the rain, my illogical anger slipped away. My tension loosed and I tired feeling reared its head. I rested the feeling that night too. The sudden exhaustion I felt as the tension in my brain loosened. My vision quickly narrowed, and I felt like everything around me had suddenly gotten darker. I couldn't give into the sensation. I would light what little explosives were left in my brain and force myself to keep going. I need to dig that man up before my stamina ran out. I need to see the tattoo on his back. I caught my sudden ragged breath and calmed down. Then I stuck the shovel into the soft, muddy ground again. It felt exactly the same as that night. The sense of digging a hole in the beach with the water coming into it every wave. What day was today? Had I gone back to the night of Tatarigoroshi? Every strange thought that came to mind tormented me. In my exhaustion, I didn't think I could manage to hold those thoughts back. Once the hole was deep, all the illumination finally faded, blanketing my vision in jet black. It was probably the moment the sun had finally set too. That night I had feared the worst and gone without using much light. My senses were so strained that I could even see in the darkness. But now I didn't have that kind of strength left. I drained everything I had last night, and now the darkness would be lethal. I decided to turn on the lantern. Putting it on the first setting would make it give off a faint light. Even with how little there was, it was enough and people wouldn't be able to see it from far away with the strain. Grabbed the chilled lantern, turned it down with a click, and set it to the weakest light setting, and turned it on. Uncanny world of silhouettes appeared before me. A complex and strange shadowy world created by the intricate entanglement of trees and branches. I had only turned on a light. It was like this was all it took to make the world into something else. I let out a quick, tired breath and wiped the liquid, neither rain nor sweat, from my brow. Then I raised the shovel into the air and slammed it into the mud. That moment, sweat surrounding me ominously all moved at once. In my head, something packed in there, something coarse but not hot or cold, was loudly rushing about. The silhouettes were all around me, looking down at me. One of them, a silhouette bigger than the others, stepped forward.
こんばんは。
What? I should have just left it alone. You really should have just left it alone, Keiichi. It's the day after some murders happened. The police, of course, are everywhere. My God. Good evening. No foo foo foo, the moon sure is beautiful tonight. The courses of my brain shot through my whole spine and left me at my waist. The tank of my body all left me at my hips, and I crouched down with a splash into the sea of mud. I dug myself. Oishi. Is that really how you address your elders? You have a rough time of it once you become an adult. No foo foo foo. Not only Oishi, but 5 or 6 of them in a row, all wearing raincoats. And no inkling that this many people had gotten so close. It was like once I turned on the lantern, they just appeared there, sliding out of the shadows. Please don't mind us. Just think of it as the trees in the forest, perhaps. Don't mind them? Yes. Pay no mind to us, and please continue digging your hole. Very late and raining very hard. You're working pretty fervently. Won't get in your way. Please dig to your heart's content. No foo foo foo. No thank you, I said. When I tried to get up and turn around, 2 men blocked that route. They stood on either side of me, tried to lift me up with amazing strength, and threw me into the sea of mud. As I soaked in the mud that I dug for myself, I looked up at the silhouettes looking down at me. Oishi squatted, picked up the shovel and threw it at my feet. It bounced loudly off the mud and hit me in the face. Come, please continue. Continue. Couldn't bear the oppressiveness of the silhouette surrounding me, and I slowly struck the shovel into the mud again. I felt like I was digging my own grave. If I kept digging, it wouldn't matter whether the two was what there was a tattoo or not, because the man's corpse would appear eventually. It was all over. I on all sides and nowhere to go. I just couldn't figure it out, no matter how much I thought about it. Why were they all here? Was it Takano-san? There was only one person who could have made the connection between me and this place. Shit, I knew it. She deserved to die. Stopping so soon? Ugh. Bam. Or she kicked me in the back, which took me by surprise, sending me flying into the mud. Hurry up and dig, please. You really should consider the fact that some of us are standing out here in the rain. Fuck you. If you don't like the rain, just go home. Rah. Or she kicks some mud into my face. Use your hands, please, not your mouth. Only stage actors do both at once. Isn't that right, boys? The men around him didn't react, not knowing quite whether they should laugh, but then Oishi glared at them, started mumbling out pained chuckles. Who was this guy? I knew the world had changed after that night, but if it went even further back, didn't it start when this guy showed up? That was when our peaceful days had been taken from us. Ever since he showed up in Himizawa, things have been odd. Everyone stopped smiling, and the world went crazy. The ground under my feet got harder and heavier. At this point, even I started to think something was odd. I hadn't buried him this deep on that night, had I? Exhaustion peaked, and I sat down on a spot. How long do you want me to dig? Kids these days have no stamina. Hey, you. Oishi's gesture, the men all pulled out their own sister-looking shovels. I watched in a daze as one of them grabbed my collar and dragged me out of the hole and threw me to the ground. The rest of the men stepped into the hole and started digging, shoveling themselves. As I stared at them dumbfounded, Oishi sauntered over and squatted down to look directly at me. Keiichi Maebara-san, is the hobby of yours digging holes on rainy nights? When I didn't respond, Oishi took one of the tin buckets they were using to bail out the muddy water, scooped some up and splashed the whole thing in my face. Ugh. It's pretty heavy today too. No matter how wet I get, I still don't understand the appeal. Oishi-san smiled to himself, then scooped up another bucket of muddy water. I'll ask you again. Is digging holes on rainy nights your hobby? Who the hell would have a hobby like that? Splash. Oishi-san hit me with another bucket full of muddy water. The pebbles in it stung. Will there be something in that hole? I always liked the story, you know, but the old man who made who could make plants bloom and puppy digging his yard for gold. As he spoke, he ran the bucket through the muddy water again, splashed in my face again. What kind of treasure is buried down here, Can't you at least give me a hint? No, You want to know, then dig it at your own time, you fucking pig. Wasn't saying that out loud. Boy, she mercilessly drenched me in muddy water again anyway. Shit. If only a hand shown up, the world wouldn't have gone wrong. Ever since you showed up, the things have been strange. Kanako got abused by her uncle. I ended up killing him, and the world went crazy. He was how it all began. Because of that, this culprit is kind of the case for both the last two episodes, isn't it? Splashed another bucket of mud in my face. My insides were seething with anger. Die, you die too. You have some strange powers to kill someone by cursing them, like with Takano-san, then you're dead. And it won't be Oishi-sama's curse, it'll be mine. I'll curse you and kill you. What a rebellious look you're wearing. Why don't we use that opportunity to teach you a thing or two in that regard? You really do live in peace these days. When I was about your age, corporal punishment was the norm for everything. Oishi-san. Holding men in raincoats, wiped some sweat off and called Oishi over. Oishi tossed the bucket away, turned around with an evil grin on his face. Yes, what is it? Please look at this. Acceptance or maybe resignation. Wanted to say to them, so you blockers finally found it. Yeah, that's right, I'm the one who killed him. You're the police, so do your own job to figure out who he is, right? Come on, prove to me that he's really Sadako's uncle. What on earth? It's an old drain pipe. Seems to be connected to the irrigation channel over there. Let's smash the thing. It's not being used, is it? The men all exchange glances, then hesitantly broach another topic. Oishi-san, ground down here is pretty hard. I don't think anything could be deeper than this. Did we get the location wrong? No, at first it definitely felt like the place had been dug up before. But after digging so far, the ground suddenly hardened. You think we've gone down further than the hole was originally dug. So, what does that mean? There was a hole here, so fill it back up? That's what you're trying to tell me? What? What were they talking about? Well, I'm at a loss. Aren't you? My Bara-san? Ori-san grabbed my collar and dragged me to the huge hole they dug. The mud inside was like an ocean. Didn't see any drain pipe down there. One of the men stirred it with a shovel, letting me hear it clang against something hard. There's no doubt I'd buried him right here, but I hadn't buried him this deep. I didn't dig deep enough to unearth an entire drain pipe. So then this man, his corpse, where was it? Proof that I'd been successful on that night was gone. Gone. Then what on earth was I? Was I actually crazy after all? Just possessed by the delusion that I killed someone? That couldn't be. It was the unmistakable truth. It couldn't have been a hallucination. But now the most important evidence that it hadn't been an illusion was gone. I killed him. I buried him. Had absolutely unwavering confidence in that fact. Then did I fail to kill him? After I left here, he had started breathing again, called out and gone back to Stoko's house. Was that it? I'd come here to see whether he had a tattoo or not. And yet the truth I unearthed was far more than that. Yesterday, what was I? I killed him. Buried him. There's no doubt. But for some reason he lived and crawled back out. And that was impossible too. Alright, I'm so tired of hearing the word impossible over and over. I get it. Dead people don't like to play by the rules here in Himizawa. Then I'll kill you as many times as I need to. I'll keep killing you until you never show your face to Satoko again. Oishi and the others were muttering to each other. Eventually, the conversation ended and Oishi came towards me. What did he want to say? What did he want to do? I stiffened, tensing up, and then Oishi just ignored me. I wasn't even there and passed right by me. The other men too ignored me and shuffled away. Eventually, there was no sign of anyone around me, and I returned to my quiet world of silhouettes. The only one left there was me. Only the sound of pouring rain filled up silence. It's a long chapter. Higurashi when they cry. Also, what the actual fuck? Inquiry request record of malice. I'm sorry. I remember looking this up a long time ago. And I was certain this chapter was only 11. Is it 12? If so, yeah, there's no way I can do another one now. One moment. Oh shit, I was wrong. Actually, 13? I got a bit spoiled now on the next one, which is a bit confusing me, but oh well. Fucking what? How does this go on? I guess this will go on. There's still space for it to go on, but what the fuck? Inquiry request. Doctor? Ringa Police Station Command Center Transmission Recording. June 20th, 808. This Okonomiya Police Station will read you loud and clear. Now I can look up a license plate for us. Shishibone 84344. Shishibone, alright? Please give us just a moment to look it up. Thank you. Number match, Shibone H4344. Address, Hinamizawa Village, Shishibone. Vehicle, make and model. Theft report, none. Special mentions nothing in note. Security police officer, we found the license plate from earlier. Oishi, do you read? Oishi, please respond. Huh? Am I getting a bad signal? Anyone in Oishi's car, please? Nothing, eh? Oishi-san wanted the license plate check. Whose car was it? Someone from the village. A completely average car. Who was it? If Oishi-san was asking, then it wouldn't be anyone good, right? Special mentions column is completely blank. No indication it's related to the S group either. And all the merits on it. Maybe it passed him on the road and he got mad. That guy isn't the type to forget a grudge. I swear to God, if this game is going with... yes, you see. Every midnight, if you're not in Mizawa, the world fucking changes. Like Hinamizawa is its own parallel universe or shit. Or some shit. Then I don't know. It's Schrodinger's box. Whatever you want to use. He said it smelled. He said the food smelled. He said it smelled because I smelled. He said I smelled because I didn't take the baths. He said to take a bath 3 times a day because I was a smelly person. He said I had to stay in the bath for a very long time every time. He must be possessed by something too. This is the same thing that the man who died said. Why does he know what the man said before? This much is obvious. The same thing that possessed that man is now possessing him. Can't a sudden earthquake make a big hole in front of his house? If it did, he would definitely go and look into it. And then I just have to push him in. I won't give it in until I got the chance. Won't give in, I won't cry. Won't give in, I won't cry. Ah, someone is apologizing again. The fuck is that? Is that Takano being like cursing the main character? Oh, alright, I'm thoroughly confused. I have no fucking idea where this is going, or how this makes sense. Other than to say, fucking parallel universe bullshit. And I refuse. I mean, uh, it could be, but I'm not about to accept magic after Umineko. I feel that accepting the magic here after seeing Umineko, that I would be losing. Therefore, more than anything else, I'll keep trying to figure this out from a non-murder, non-magic perspective. Yes, fucking, he could be crazy. Technically true. Everything is a hallucination. There you go. Easy excuse. And if I'm at that, I might as well say he's in a coma and this is a dream, and everyone in the town is fooling him and he's being tricked. Everyone in the town is in on it. Ha ha ha. Yeah, those are way too convenient for me to buy it. Anyway, I'm done. This is it. Next time, I guess in 2 days, we still play Higurashi. I thought we were finishing it today, to be honest. In 2 days, we're finishing Higurashi. And then I'm playing Deltarune until I'm done. See you all next time.